It's gonna come tonight. There was a kid that didn't get picked up. So she had this dance. And it's done for all the schools. Nice, yeah, sure. It's get breakfast in school, so they would be like. They would get breakfast. I don't know. I don't think if that might not fall under the. I'm gonna bring it up to with the announcements. New business. Be like the whole budget for the whole thing is like 5 minutes. Just, $500 or. What do you think? It would be. That make a big difference for the.
Okay, it's, let's run the draw. Are we ready? Is the computer ready? Is IT ready? Okay. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna call the order of the West Tampa Community Redevelopment and Community Advisory Committee, September 17th at 5:30 p.m. at the Hillsborough Education Foundation Tico Hall at 2306 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida 33607. And with that, can I get a roll call, Mrs. Brenda?
Yes, sir. Okay. If I call your name, you say present. Joe Robertson,
Here.
Carlos Ramirez,
Present.
Michael Brasha,
Here.
Sandra Sanchez, here. Janice Williams, here. Bobby Wilson,
Here.
Jeanette Larissa Fenton,
Present.
Debbie Evans.
Present.
Queen Basin, Delphine Jones, here. Tina Young, here. Dave Malone. You have 4.
Okay, we're gonna move on, so Mr. Your you don't? You don't?
Lauren, yeah.
You don't, you don't. Mr. Long is not here, but when he comes in, I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself. He's our new member to the group. The Tampa is gonna be Tampa Housing Authority case official. Okay, with that said, we're gonna have public comment. We got 3 minutes. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to give public comment for 3 minutes, or if there's anybody online that wants to give comment for 3 minutes, we're gonna start. Is anyone here at the meeting inside that wants to provide public comment? Going once, twice, don't see anyone, so we're gonna move to, is anyone online that wants to have public comment for 3 minutes?
Yes, this is Michael Randolph from the West Tampa CDC. And I'm here just to give a quick update on the home-based e-commerce center. As you know, we're moving closer and closer towards moving in to our office. As you know, this is a public safety / e-commerce approach to uplifting residents in the community. It focuses on residents starting their own businesses and hence them starting job creation once they expand. What's unique about this is that it's a low cost to start up. Since there's no bricks and modem, they actually start from their house. Anybody can start a home-based business because everybody has skills. What we do is to monetize those skill sets. Under this program, in a partnership with the banks and funders, a person can get anywhere from $500 to $1,500 in order to start that business. In addition to that, to have a computer that they can use and access to the internet. It's focused on senior citizens, low-income individuals, at-risk youth, single parents, head of households, and others. It's in partnership with the banks. The other thing we're looking at is how do we get foundations and corporations to fund this? We know that there's tens of thousands of corporations and foundations that fund programs all over the United States. We got that software to tap into that, meaning that we don't have to worry about going after dollars that everybody else is already going after already. We just want to update you on that. We're really interested in sharing this with the community to let them know as we get close, nobody will be left behind. We want to increase the wealth and job creation in West Tampa. Thank you.
Mr. Randolph, is there anyone else online? If not, no. Okay, someone online needs to speak. Okay, moving right along, is everyone has received the August 2024 meeting minutes. Is there any changes to the meeting minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I have a change.
Okay, let's get a motion to approve and then we'll have discussion and make the change. All right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
She moved. I second.
Oh, okay, I thought she was second. All right, Ms. Sanchez made a motion to approve the minutes, the second by Mr. Ramirez. Mrs. Fenton, you have some changes.
Yes, I just want to note that I was here at the August 20th meeting.
Again?
Sorry.
It's out of the rush.
I don't know. I was here. In fact,
You came in a little late.
maybe that's what it is. I came in a
Yeah,
few minutes late. I actually caught it, but I already printed these out. Because, you know, I don't want to be, we only get three and I.
Yeah.
We'll be
So,
here.
Got it, no problem, thank you.
anything else, Mr. LaRussa?
No, thank you, Mr.
Okay, anyone else have anything to change? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Sanchez.
B, Fremont Linear Park. The vote passed 8-1. It was 7-2 because I also voted against it. I just want to make that remark on it.
Okay, so the vote was 7-2.
I'm sorry, which one was that on?
B, on the Fremont Linear Park. Opening cross streets.
Oh. You voted against?
Yes, because if you read further down, she said she was against the opening. So, yes, I voted twice against it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. All right, is there any more changes to the maintenance meeting? If not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving right along, community, first of all, I want to recognize the, I guess, the director of the community redevelopment, the CRA, Mr. Cedric McQuay. Glad to have you here tonight, sir. Anything you need to say, I always recognize my leadership. If you say it done, you need a mic.
No mic needed. Thank you. I appreciate you have to do that. I was scheduled to be here last month, had a family emergency, so I wasn't able to attend, but I wanted to make sure I came to participate, listen in, and
Thank you very much.
see how you're moving along. Thank you.
All right, with that, community policing update. Is there anyone here for the Tampa Police Department? Going once, going twice? Okay, no, not here. And tonight, we have code enforcement. It's not shown there, but we have code enforcement. They have been around, and so if you come up, the person for code enforcement, introduce yourself, get a microphone, come up to the front of the room and make your report, and we'll appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you very much.
It has been a minute.
All right.
I'm Officer Chris Freeman, City of Tampa Code Enforcement Department. I'd spoken to the young lady, when we're requested, please get a hold of Kevin Amos or my new supervisor, Jack Chucho. He was our lead. He got promoted when Carlos Rios retired a couple months ago. I don't know if everyone's familiar that Carlos Rios retired, but he did. So I do have some statistics for the months of June, July, and August. This covers Alicia Badger's tracks on this side, and I think Wayne Morrison's track on the opposite side of the interstate. So it's going to cover tracks 43, 44, 49, and 50. There was one bank home foreclosure, that was documented as being closed. We had processed 202 civil cases, 174 are now closed with 28 in process, which is pretty good. So we've had a little bit of success there. Same thing with the code violation. Those are mainly structural violations. There were 29 cases created, 19 have been closed, and 10 are in process going through the magistrate process. There were a lot of remedial orders. Remedials are when we're abating people's property, vacant lots, unattended properties. Inoperable vehicles, there were 75 total, 63 have been closed, and there's 12 in process. And that just means they're probably in different stages to get approved for the abatement process where we actually pay a contractor. The months of August, of course, are always busier because we're in the high growth season. I wasn't aware of any problems anybody had, but if you have anything that I could discuss,
I just wondered what the process was, because we've been complaining about a vacant lot on our block for 3 months. How long, what's the normal, I mean, it has, the owner, the developer applied for a variance and was granted it by city council. And he mowed the lot before he appeared before city council. The last time he's touched it, ever since, it's still there, and the grass is now over my head. I'm 5 feet 2, so the grass is like crazy. And we've complained 3 times to Mr. Moore. It's in Mr. Morrison's. We've emailed and called, and
what's the address?
1320 something maybe, West Fig Street.
West Bay. Okay.
It hasn't been mowed for months.
Okay, I'll look into that, but it's a vacant lot, right?
Vacant lot.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Okay,
The only email I have that I think is Mr. Ramirez. So do you want me to channel any responses to him or
let me ask you a question. What's your phone
813
number? 813
347
347.
7823? And it's a typical Chris.Freeman@tampa.gov.
Okay, Mrs. Jones, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, we have a situation with the students. Never, well, it's all over now, my area, let's say, Nassau, from Willow down to Boulevard, where there's so many students that's occupying a house. And they're parked on the street on both sides, and we have an emergency, and the fire engine couldn't get down. So what should we do with this situation?
That's really a law enforcement matter outside of code enforcement. If it's in the roadway, typically the police department will respond. Especially if the fire crew is not able to get through. They can call for an immediate tow if they can't get through.
Okay, so is the parking division still open anytime at night? Still?
They are, and I guess they are subject to come out of the downtown area, but that's normally by request. So if there is an ongoing problem, if you wanted to contact them directly, they're pretty receptive. Every once in a while, we do have them come out to Drew Park, and we do have certain businesses that are parking, obstructing sidewalks and whatnot. What block was that? You said 1100 block? 1100?
But it's in all the blocks, because it's so narrow, and they're parking in the alleyways. So I guess I might have to call parking department.
They're the students.
Yeah, because it's so many areas. And I keep asking how do you address that? Because it's supposed to be a certain occupancy. I thought it was a city ordinance or something.
There's like, I can check the zoning on that. To see if it's a group home or
I
not.
think we really, well, I don't, it's a bunch of houses. I have
Okay.
to call those. Because like I said, all the students stay in that block. It's about 600 students.
Okay,
And they have them parked up in the driveway, yeah, but then it's not enough room, so they're in the street, and the street's narrow anyway.
If you want to call me tomorrow, I'll get you an answer before the end of the day.
is that it, Ms. Jones?
Yeah.
Did you take pictures of this when they have that accumulation of cars and things?
I do,
Okay.
we got some,
Full documentation.
I can
Says a lot because they're there and they're gone. But that photo and that video. Good evidence. Okay, anyone else have any questions for our code enforcement? Mr. Garcia, again, Mr. Spiller.
Of those, are you familiar with the new, house and grant process?
I am not.
Where do we begin the openness of conversation to clue you guys into what's available? So I know the goal is compliance, right? It's a code compliance goal. And when we have a lot of folks in this area, sometimes it's just shabby housekeeping, they're not cutting their lawn, we understand that kind of stuff, and leaving some trash. But when it's other issues, structural, things like that, when it might be a fence laying down, a lot of folks can't afford maybe to do the work, and that there is money out there, facade grants and other things that, that is available to them now. Many times people get flustered, maybe you come cite them and they just look at it as like it's punitive, but if with that, you were to offer some of the information grant process to where they can then apply for it, it may help the goal of compliance. I think from a general service standpoint, I think it would be beneficial that, people would look at code enforcement a little bit differently if you were giving them out. If they don't take it, that's a different story. You
Is
still have a
that
job to
unique
do.
to this neighborhood?
This is within the CRO, correct?
Okay, so one of us would have to be educated on that, whether it's the supervisors and they filter it out during a team meeting.
Yeah, it might just be getting over information or web page, something like that. Could be very.
Because I would love to know that information. I would pass it on. To our
Ms. Earl will probably invite you back when we have the meeting and be part of the presentation, so.
Yeah, so basically, we don't hand out applications, they would get a number to call, or they would get the website, because they have to get a consultation first. So it would be great if y'all could distribute the information, and to talk about how to do that.
I'll say something like that, okay, based on historical reference. But before we go there, is Ms. Fenton,
Yes,
are you done, Ms. Fenton? Ms. Fenton?
I was wondering, how do you all operate generally now? I understand that individuals, you can make a code enforcement complaint, but you're identified. There's no such thing as anonymous code enforcement complaints.
That is correct, but the people that are being complained on would have to go through a process to get that information, through a public records request. A lot of times they don't go through that, that channel because we're not gonna tell them. We tell them you have to go through public records and submit a public records request, and there's a process for that. Most of the time, it just stops at that point. But I did want to tell you, some of our processes have gotten faster. When I first came to the department, we had a complaint came in from a citizen. It was scheduled out 21 days before we even saw it. It was scheduled out 21 days for the hopes that during that waiting period, the problem would get corrected. Normally it's overgrowth or that nature. Well, the inspectors were like, why are we waiting 21 days? So it went down to 7 days. Well, now we were like, why are we waiting 7 days? Well, we just go as soon as we get it. So now if you submit a complaint today, it's in my queue tomorrow to go address. Yes, and I think that is wonderful.
Yes.
I don't think we should have to wait. If there's a problem, let's go address it now. They listen to us and we've switched. So we're responding within 24 hours now.
Excellent.
And we're actually grading on that. I actually look ahead what I might be doing tomorrow. If I have time, I go do it right then and there.
Can an organization make it, like a civic association, can a civic association make it?
I've seen those come in like that. It's against Florida state statute, but they are allowing them.
Mhm.
So I would try it.
And
Right.
then, do you all do routine drive up and down streets anymore, or?
I would say right now, let's just say my area of West Tampa, I'm doing probably upwards to 97% proactive. And that's within, and I'm also now handling Drew Park since David Gonzalez got promoted. So I would say about 95 90+% is proactive. It's not complaint driven, because, you know, a lot of people have gotten away from wanting to submit complaints.
Okay, thank you.
So can you,
Oh, I just want
thank you, can you just tell us, like, so the complaint comes in and you respond right away,
Yes.
and then what? You notify the offender, right? And then how long do they have to correct the issue?
Okay, so we issue notice, either we post, and they also, per Florida State statute, we have to send a certified mail. And they're typically, depending on the violation, it's 21-day correction. That's based on our policies. If some things are, an extreme public nuisance, like I had a church that was allowing, trucks to come in and dump old grease, which smelled really, really bad. I told you, you got 7 days to correct that. Florida State statute said you're not supposed to go below 5. So the city's always a little bit, you know, not as stringent as Florida State statute is concerned. So it depends on the violation. If it's a structural issue and we're afraid the house is going to come down, we can do a demolition within 24 hours, an emergency demolition. So but typically it's going to be a 21-day allow for them to cure the violation before we move it to either the civil route where they receive a written citation or through code board, where if they don't come in compliance within a certain time frame, then they're looking at a daily fine, which turns into a soft lien.
Here's what I'm telling you, okay? I've been doing code enforcement for 40 years. The rights on that code, 40 years. Come on in, Mr. Sub Front, you can't sit in the audience, no more. Got a sign somewhere for you. Yeah, we got a shelf for you. Come on in. Come on in. What else there's to point to that show, let's bring up the elon. How long your money is, present. And we'll get back to you so we can introduce this principles. Oh, here's what's happened, okay? Back in the day, okay, because I'm doing a book on this, so I'm just going through all my records. And a few months to launch stuff out, get something ready for this book. I got a lot of code enforcement cases going back in the 70s and the 60s, basically the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. And this was really aggressive. The property right just compensation. And what they used to do when you get a citation, there'd be a little piece of paper that would be attached. It used to be duplicate, right? Used to be a duplicate probably to the value. And they would have a little piece of paper, Mrs. Brenda, and it would say, call this number, you may be able to get some help with your problem, with your structural, with your painting, with your roofing, whatever. And then that would trigger them to call that number and refer them over to the housing department. They had programs. Not as aggressively and not as thorough as we have now. They were more homeowners. There wasn't any rental help. Okay, we never want to have rental property. It was always homeowners, home ownership. People, mostly older folks that couldn't do anything. So they had something, and that was really funded from CDBG, not from CRAs. Because it wasn't CRAs back then, CDBG. If you go back that far. So I think that that's an idea that's already been done. I think that, and here once again, here's the city, they do cross communication for code enforcement. People that are signed should have some type of slip that they can put for a violation. It says call this number, depending on which, if you feel it's something that needs to be, that they can get some help, like Mr. Garcia was saying. And that way, since we have these robust programs, so we got robust grant programs, both in housing and in commercial, very robust. And we're not getting a lot to the space, based on my observation, looking at how money flow around. So I think that that's something that maybe we should ask, Ms. Brenda, to have a look for code enforcement and our grant programs, both housing and commercial grants, that there be some type of notice given to a violator, that there's an opportunity that they may be able to take advantage of. And that way we serve the citizen, and if we need to pay for a piece of paper on violation in the CRA, then we need to budget and do that. But then if the CRA, you say at least in our CRA, not the whole city of Tampa, but our CRA, we're giving notice to people that there may be an opportunity to save you from going into the deep debt of $100 a day, $500 a day, $20 a day, because code enforcement is not meant to be punitive. That's okay, don't get me started on what I know about code enforcement, we have rolling in the 50 years, for 15 years. It's not made to be punitive, it's made to make you be persuasively compliant, and that's why you have 89%. You just have some people that are really hard nosed, they don't want to deal with government. Usually they don't want us to think that with the $1 million fines and all that, but the things have changed. There's more opportunities. I just want to throw that out there, Mr. Brenda, Mr. Cedric, if you can sort of coordinate that in our CRA, at least West Tampa, we would like to have a notice when people are violated, it's something that you can't identify, that it's housing or something that we have a grant for, that when that violation goes, that they have that little piece of paper attached to the violation. And we're just saying now, CRA, we know what other CRA is doing, but I think in the West Tampa, we want to be model, but it's not usage models. And I think that would be good. And it was done before in the past. So there's a precedence for it being done. I know the city used to do it. I mean, I could go probably not records and find a sample where they did it in the past. Okay, to try to be good guys. But I think now we have a more robust grant program. And so we need to go ahead and ask, that's an ask, that we're running the check so that when the housing people get with the grant people get with the code enforcement people, because one is enforcement, the other is trying to comply stuff with the grants. And so that we can be, say, hey, recycling, but here's what somebody may call, you might get something that and that way we get compliance and we also get people participate in the program, which we should, because got to get started to participate. Okay, is that it? Anybody else anything? I'm gonna let you.
No, I appreciate that because there are some things we're not educated on, certain grants in certain areas. And I knew us got with Kevin or Jack, you know, coordinated training them, they can, you know, we have weekly meetings, team meetings, so.
And I like that give back when you guys have that roll call meeting or whatever, the supervisor was announcing that everybody knows. So that's a good way that we're just trying to help the city, to communicate better, because that's been the biggest issue in the city for the last 80 years and change. To become more communicating and cross-talking with various departments so we can have a holistic, uniform approach to solving problems.
The only other thing that's changed, that's always been on the books, we never tried it or attempted it during code board is, and I may have brought this up when we first were thinking about it, but lately we've actually experimented through code board. Let's just say we have a problematic property where it is can be construed as a life safety or health issue for first responders responding to that location for a medical emergency or fire. They can't access the property due to a hoarding situation or any situation that would obstruct them from getting onto the property safely. We now have an avenue through code board where we didn't exercise this until we looked at the chapter 9 a little closer, that as long as the magistrate grants us, orders us to go onto the property to abate it, whether it's homesteaded or not, we're going on that property. We have one over in North Tampa that has a lot of cars that are blocking access to the house. The house is actually fallen down. The gentleman's not even staying in the house anymore. And those situations, every single time we have to have law enforcement out there because it's kind of nasty. But we've been doing that recently and it's been successful with dealing, because for the longest time, since I started here, they said, well, it's homestead, you can't do nothing about it. It's homestead. Well, yeah. So we started looking at chapter 9 a little closely, and under chapter 9-101D, it gives the magistrate the ability to order us to go onto the property, whether there's a lien on the property already or not. It still has that authority. Yes.
Okay, with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, when will you be back? Because this is always an issue about this coordinating. Ms. Brenda, you say every quarter. The gentleman's here now. He says that we need to make sure we contact Mr. Kevin Amos.
Jack and Kevin about that.
So let's get him on a rotation that makes sense for the committee. If that's good, you guys can figure that out.
I'm always available.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very good report. Moving right along, special presentation. We have the West Tampa strategic acquisition opportunity for housing, Mr. John Fernandez. The mic, come on up, sir.
You hear me okay? You hear me okay?
Um,
No, it's, yo,
That's what you meant.
I guess it is. There you go. Good evening. My name is, John Fernandez. I'm the real estate operations manager for the city of Tampa. And my job for the city is to, for the CRAs specifically, is to look for property in the CRA. We do that for all the CRAs, downtown, East Tampa, West Tampa, Blue Park, all over. And so with that, Brenda had asked me to look at property both on the north side of the interstate and the south side. The south side, I've been looking for park sites. We may be able to do pocket parks in that area, but we don't have any parks on that side of the interstate. But we came across a piece of property, that was listed for sale, corner of, Howard and Cypress. It's about a 1.1 acre piece of property. It was listed on the market for $3,995,000. And so our job, if we come across the property, we present it to the CRA manager and the director, and then we go out and see if we can negotiate it. In this particular case, we went out, I'm a pretty custodian of city dollars. So instead of getting two appraisals that we're required to do for anything over $500,000, I went out and got one to see if we're even in the ballpark, even when we get to an offer. So in this particular case, after doing due diligence, we had one appraisal done. We made an offer. The other side, reviewed it, made some suggestions, and so now they finally come back and have signed a contract. But before we get to the next level, we need to, do a second appraisal because all our contracts are subject to appraisal. So in this particular case, we need to do a second appraisal to see where that falls in line. But, I'm here today to answer any questions concerning this property. This is for housing, strictly for housing. It allows for it. And then the question is, how many units can we get on the site? There are 3 or 4 buildings on it that'll have to be demolished. They're not in use except for one, which is I think it's a tire company is running it monthly. And so based on that, we are, they'll have to leave, if we acquire the property. Our due diligence requires us to do a boundary survey and environmental. We'll do a phase 1. If it requires us to do a phase 2, which is more in depth, that's what we'll do. If the other side, which is the ownership group, decides not to allow us to do that, we can walk away from the contract. We can walk away from the contract on any reason whatsoever. That's how our contracts are written. So that gives the city an opportunity, number one, to be able to compete with the developers and buyers that are out there, because we have to go through a process. We come to the CAC, has to go to the CRA board, and it also has to go to city council for approval. So it's a 3-step process. So based on that, I'm here to just let you know that I think we have a pretty good price on this property. Hopefully the second appraisal will support it. And if so, then the next level for us is to try to get it to council as soon as possible.
So how much?
While we're in negotiation with the property owner, we're exempt, not exempt, we're prohibited from providing what the cost is and what the appraisals are. That is a policy until it gets to council. But we don't disclose.
Well, he did disclose something. He said the owner, he can tell us what the offer was. That's public record.
It is not. It is that all offers are written.
I know, but I thought you said that it was $3 or $4 million.
Oh, no, it's listed. It's listed.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yes.
Listen to me now. I'm a lawyer too. Listen to me now. I know real estate. I got a lot of real estate around here, right down the street. You said when you started talking, you told me. So that's a listing. So it's public record, right?
It's public record once
It's a listing. So that gives me an idea. Right. This Maloney, I'm talking. So you say that was a listing. And so the listing was 3 million?
$3,995,000.
So that is a number that I heard about this. That's the only number I know. I don't know what the appraised value is. I don't know about any other kind of office and all that, but I knew that it was listed for 3.9 million. That's a fact. Now, you said that you went and got appraisal, correct?
Correct.
And you said that the appraisal was within what you think is reasonable for the property, correct? I'm not talking about no that, but you said whatever the number was. Y'all got appraised. It seemed to be, they said it was equal to 3.9, but you said that it was what? Not the value, but you, in order to justify going forward, if the appraisal came in and it came in 20 times lower than the listed value, you wouldn't be on there talking about doing a deal. So you got to have some kind of threshold that y'all use, correct? You're in the real estate.
Well, the appraisal is depending on the value, as you know, correct?
Yeah, but there's also a thing called what makes sense and what don't. So what I'm saying is you will be in here asking us for somebody to listen to something for 3.9, if you did appraisal and then come in at a reasonable number, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you feel that the number you got, which you can't tell us what the number, but I'm gonna use deduction, that you're saying that, I know it can't be very way over, okay, the value that's listed, that was appraised, it can't be way over, and it can't be way up, because if they got something listed way up in the moon, I don't think the city's gonna waste their time horsing around with it. If it's like $2 or $3 million way above what you think, what the price is coming, I don't think you're gonna come in here and ask us nothing, because if you do, then I'm gonna follow back after I do find out what it is, when you finally come to us with the numbers, I ain't for it. Okay, that's the way this is gonna work. Now, what I wanna say is this, okay? It's great, but I'm old enough for the board, because I got something I'm gonna say about this whole deal, but is anybody got any questions about this, or did Okay, now let me just, I saw over here, and I come back over here, I think Ms. Williams, I saw your hand, then I saw Ms. Tina. I saw your, Ms. Sanchez, did you have your hand up? Okay, so we're gonna go, Ms. Williams, Ms. Tina, Ms. Sanchez, come back to, hold on, Jeanette, do you have yours up?
No, I'm gonna wait because
Okay, and then
somebody may
Mr.
ask me a
David,
question.
Mr. David Leona, Lonia, and then Mrs. Livonia. Malonia. I'll get it, man. No, you get it. I'll get you with you, man. We'll get you. Okay, and then Mr. Okay. Go forward.
Okay, so it sounds as if once you make a deal or agree, then you said it's gonna go before city council or approval. Is that correct?
It goes before the CRA board.
The CRA board,
Right.
okay,
If they approve it, then it goes to city council.
right. Okay. I might have it, but I apologize. So when are you informing us of these properties that you have found? And what role do we play in it? Because it sounds to me, once the deal is done, you're going straight to the board without any real input from us.
Well, the deal's not done until it's approved. I mean, I can't approve a deal. I can only recommend a deal.
Right, but my point is, are you gonna come back to us to let us know what is gonna go before the CRA board prior to doing that? Or are you coming back to us once the CRA board approves it?
No,
No, because once the CRA board approves it, then we move
what
forward.
it is, he's got to come back, when he gets a number
Okay,
that he can live with, and he's checked out all the environmental phase 1, phase 2, I think it's on phase 2 because of the gas station when you go on the highway. And so like I said, I guarantee you there's a tank down there somewhere. That's why people just,
yeah, well,
they don't want to completely eradicate that tank or whatever. Okay, so, trust me, that was a gas station way back. Okay, now, but what I'm saying is, I believe the way he's saying is that he coming to us to get us woke up. I see y'all woke. And then he's gonna go back and I don't think he's asking for anything for us to approve tonight.
okay,
Unless he's saying he's coming to ask us to approve and go forward, but I'm not approving anything completely until I have more information. I can't vote on an unknown number. That's not even legal. So otherwise I'm just giving away the bank. So the
Right.
thing is, I would assume, logically say he's coming to say, okay, well, y'all have a really interest in this? Yeah, we do, because we said we want to acquire property, to try to make sure that down the road it don't go skyjacking up on us, and that's on the main thoroughfare, it's probably the street car gonna go down one day to the airport. So the thing is, and we're talking about housing, so they're coming here saying, according to read this September 17th memo to me, okay, and to you guys, that said that, their, staff respectfully requests the CAC recommendation support the purchase of the properties and utilize the political funds. Support is one thing, approving is another. So I think they're asking us to support them going forward, or either support them, say we ain't interested. Okay, we got other priorities or something. That's one thing. The other one is that I assume that we say no, we support him, that they're gonna go back and use due diligence and get the appraisal final and get the negotiation final for them before they go to the salary board. I would hope they come back here for us to vote it up and down. Now, if they're not gonna do that, I got a problem with the whole process. Okay, so, and then even if we vote it down, it still can go to the board and the board overrule us and say that they're gonna go along with it regardless of what the citizens say. That's just the way it is. So we are an advisory committee. So that's about, I hope it's gonna work. Maybe you can tell me it's gonna work that way, it's gonna work different.
I would defer to our CRA manager.
Okay, so okay, but thank God he's in the house.
I'm gonna defer to the CRA director.
Yeah, he was young.
He's in the house.
Oh, you need to now went to the break, okay.
Good afternoon, Director Sessions, Bray, from the CRA Director. We have been very aggressive in other areas of the city or CRAs, to acquire parcels. We've had discussions. We don't normally like to discuss the numbers because we have entities that attend the meetings and, quite regularly that may run out and, have ex parte communications outside the city and, with the owners of the property. But, we made it very clear that we're being aggressive to acquire, and assemble parcels to create affordable housing opportunities. The fact that the CRA and or the city can purchase those properties, we can work with an RFP process to, for future development. If we purchase it, then we can keep it affordable. If we don't, and it falls in the hand of someone else purchasing it, that price goes up. So, it's difficult because we're trying to operate under the confines of, exactly what Mr. Fernandez is describing to you all. But, we have the funds in some CRAs to do that. And like I said, we've been very aggressively active in trying to assemble properties.
The question was, Mr. McQuaid, was where is this CAC advice committee's input? Once they, will we have an opportunity to know what the CRA board is gonna see and give our vote yes or no on it? That's the issue. What you hear now, like asking for support with no numbers. So we're saying that once you get all the numbers worked out and we support this and bring it back and then we take a look at it, we want one more look at it. So what is the written procedure?
So I can't tell you that there's a written procedure that I've seen formally. I can just speak to the CRAs that I've had enough experience in. And, there's a memo very similar that's shared with those entities. And then we have the conversation. And a lot of the conversation is focused on what's, we support the purchase, but what's the plan for the property? And
But here's the reason that, let me finish it. Here's the reason that why this committee is suspect. Because we have gave the city, the CRA advisory committee has told the city on numerous occasions the addresses of properties that we want to purchase. That numerous addresses that we gave that we wanted real estate to go out there and look and see if they're, formidable, doable. I think we ended up getting one house over on Spruce Street, but we ain't done nothing with it, okay? So I think now they're supposed to be trying to rehab to make it so you can use it if somebody's having a house fixed up, they can stay there so the house is fixed up and move out. So, our issue is that, we know that the CRA is aggressively, going after acquisition. We know that because we put 30% into the Florida Housing Fund like everybody else. Don't know where it's going. But I'm just asking if it isn't written, okay, that there's a process that this goes to us tonight for support. without approval, there's support, there's a difference on support and approving. So that's the soft approval. But then we're saying when it comes, gets finalized on its way to the CRA board, that we want to have an opportunity to see what that is and make a vote up or down on that. And then it can go to the CRA board anyway, whether we agree with the numbers or agree with whatever. And then they can vote it up or down, just like when it leaves the CRA board, they go to city council. City council, you go to the CRA board for vote it down. That's the way the process to me would be fair. But if you come in here and tell me that you want support and authorize millions of dollars out of our slush fund called the infrastructure account, I know there's several $1 million sitting there, I have a problem with that. So I need clarification. If not, then I'm gonna tell them that we need to get a legal opinion of process. We got process for if you do a grant, commercial grant. If we don't even look at it at the CAC, if it's $150,000 and below, that's an administrative call. You start getting above that, you got to come in here and get the CAC, look at it anyway, up or down. So that's in that. So with that same type of process there, with that commercial grant application, I think this is simpler, that we need to have input more so just telling us that y'all want to do it. Okay, and we don't determine that that's a good one, because, you know, the first thing I'm gonna say, if I don't get that second opportunity, I'm gonna start saying that something corrupt going on. Somebody around here got some property they want to sell, and they want to use that money to buy it. And some developer down the road wants to develop it, and he's already lining himself up because we didn't have an input on it. It's like walking in here now, bam, you hit us in your head with surprise. Nobody knew about this till they hit this memo here, to that. So that's so to be transparent and get support from 9 community organizations and 3 at large. Now, 10 organizations, I guess, with Mr. David over here, the housing authority. And I know you ready, everybody was trying to, so I just wanted to set the pace that there ain't no answer what I'm hearing as to what, there's no written process that will come to the CAC, but you're asking for CAC salary money. So my thing is, if you're gonna ask for our money at our budget, okay, then I think that we should reset the due process to let us, okay, we proved tonight, support it, we make our comments, we support it up and down. And then, what do we vote the next list? Hypothetical.
Mhm.
What do we say? No, we don't support it. Cause that's the topic. No, y'all still gonna go out there and negotiate. Right?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
Not
but
necessarily.
I don't know, but I haven't seen these Tampa stuff. That's why I got experience with this. Okay, I haven't seen that fiasco, and I don't wanna have that over there.
Right.
So I want to try to assure my committee that we're gonna get an opportunity to say that, you know, because a lot of times you have to support stuff to get more information to make a final decision. So I'm more like, you know, I'm like, hey, let's support something, but then we want one more bite. Once the details, but the devil is in the details, that we can make an intelligent decision. Not tonight, but maybe the next time, when the staff goes forward, do their due diligence, do whatever they're gonna do, and say, okay, we got a number, we got an agreement with a person, and we're ready to bring that to y'all and see what you think. It's not gonna change, all of the vote is advisory, so it's gonna be no harm to the city, no harm to anybody trying to go around, because at that point, you have a written agreement, which is gonna be public record once it's signed. Okay, by both parties, that's public record. I don't care if they went to city council, nobody. It's public record when you sign it. So my thing is that we want to be included in that loop. So if y'all, tonight I'm not hearing that we are, but I'm not hearing that we aren't. But I'm asking you, if it's vague and it's not written down, then we're asking that we be included. If we support this tonight, that they come back to us when it's ready to go to the salary board, that you try to get it to us before you go to the board, because I don't want to put the cart before the horse. And when we get, as advice committee, when we get things, there's some stuff that the salary board this month, that I thought, I'm glad they continue, right, Ms. Brunt, because we was gonna have a real rocky soccer minute tonight, but the board continued items. But we want to make sure that we have at least a say so, Mr. Senator, that, you know, that way we feel buy-in, we feel that we're useful here, we're not just rubber stamping stuff. And then we know stuff out here in the streets about maybe this property, about stuff like I told you about the gas station, that maybe real estate ain't even gonna look at, because there may be some other thing going on. Because understand, real estate is not, you know, it has a bad reputation, okay? I'm just telling you, they got a bad reputation around here. Having been dealing with them for decades and decades, right, Mr. Receiver? So what I'm saying, I'm a comment. All right, I'm gonna stop talking and let me get back to my order. So we have this way, I just want to set the pace that the sheriff believes that we need to be included. And after they, if we support this, that it should come back. I just want to get that on the record. All right, Mr. Taylor, was you done? I want to clarify what you were saying or something.
No, I really appreciate that because it helped me to understand a little bit better too. So at this time, I do not have any questions.
Okay, Mr. T, next.
I think you answered it. I just wanted to know what was the process after they get property, then what happens next? But I think was someone answered.
Ms. Jones, she was next one, and then on Ms. Sanchez, I didn't see which one was first.
Did you say the property was a gas station before?
Yeah.
On the corner, just the corner.
On the corner.
Yeah.
There was a gas station there many years ago. And there was ongoing, the proper word is they got involved with the EPC
Remediation.
and they got some type of letter of okay. Recently.
Probably in the state program.
It may be.
Is it a brown? Oh, yeah,
Pardon?
it may be contaminated.
Well, you know, from what we got from the EPC, it doesn't show that there was contamination. They did what they had to do to get an okay from the EPC. You know, that's all I know. Because until we do, what happens is when we do our due diligence, we get approval to do our due diligence, we do a phase one. It's just a history of the site. And then usually it comes back and requires us to do a phase two, okay, where they do testing. We do groundwater testing, we do soil testing, we check for metals in the ground, not just on the corner piece, but on the entire site. So if the owner does not allow that to happen, we walk away from the deal. There's no reason for us to spend millions of dollars potentially on remediating something that, you know, the end result, even though it's for housing, the end result is, it's too costly. We're doing that now on the parts that we acquired about a year ago on the corner of Main and Albany. Okay, it's 3 years. It's 3 years, okay, but it's a process they go through, but it had issues, and so that's what occurred. They did the phase one, then we did the phase two, we negotiated the parts down. The owner did agree, and then we went forward with the work for the phase two.
The other thing is, I'm so disappointed that the property number that we turned in the past, that we didn't have any, well, we weren't able to purchase any, and everything just goes so slow.
Well,
So I don't know how we're gonna accomplish what we need to accomplish with the business.
I'm not sure of the property addresses, because I know when the former, CRA manager was here, he gave some property lists to us, and we sent out letters. We physically sent out letters. People called, okay, and they said they didn't want to sell, or they just didn't respond, or they lived there, they didn't want to. People that had vacant land, they wanted 3 times what the value is. So, you know, no use to bring that back, because, you know, if a piece of property is worth 150 and they want 750, we're never gonna get there. There's no negotiation we're gonna get there, because they take the property because the market was hot. You know, last few years, the market has kind of died a little bit, still up there, but it's gone down. So, but we did send out letters and we got responses, or we got no response. And we did talk to various people. I don't know where that list got back to the CRA manager at that time, but there was properties he asked us to look at, and we did.
Thank you for that, Mr. Sanchez. Will you number jump? Mr. Sanchez, and I'm coming over here.
Okay, I just. It says here, the property to utilize funds from the Affordable Housing Initiative. Planned assemblage to requisition budget line item is that part of the money that we have donated towards affordable housing when they asked us for what was 20% or 30%? Is that where it would be paid for this property, not off of our property?
Yeah.
Yes. It'll come out of 30%.
But I mean, the answer, the money.
I'll answer, yeah. It would come out of your 30% because we have a line item called strategic acquisitions.
Okay, so that would be paid under that.
Yes.
It wouldn't be come out of our general funds.
It wouldn't come out of the infrastructure because the purpose of it is affordable housing.
Okay, and so my question, that's my next question. So it's going to be purchased for affordable housing. That means that's the only thing it can be used for because we're using that initiative.
It has to have affordable housing in it. Now, if it's a mixed use, maybe with some body retail, that could be considered. That's fine, as long as it has affordable housing.
And would this property become a part of the land trust?
I don't know about the land trust. That's a B question. No, not according to our chart. No.
It would be something we should find out if it's going to go on that packet of land acquisitions that they're doing in the land trust. Just different reasons. And I also, because of our experience on Main Street, and I'm sure because this has been different stations, and then there was a radiator shop, and then it was different, that it's going to be brownfield also. And I have concerns, and that's the only thing. I mean, we probably aren't going to have a choice, but it also means we're going to wait around 5 years for them to be able to use it at the time they go through all the phases. So that's all I have to say about meaning to buy property.
All right, on this side, Miss Smith. And then Mr. David, and then Mrs. Round down, just come on down, and Mr. Priscilla.
John, what is the viable use for this? I know we said affordable housing, but are we talking townhouses, apartments, duplexes? How many units can be sustained on this property?
Well, there's a couple of options. One, you could put ground floor parking because it's a long strip. It's not like it's a deep strip, okay? It's long. So you could put housing, you could put parking on the first level and go up 2 levels, probably put 45, 50 units maybe, on the side, maybe more. But now they have that Live Local Act that's in place now that provides more density to sites. That's all over town. That's everywhere. They're taking property everywhere looking at that. aspect. They go to our zoning department and they review that. But to me, that would be one option. You could maybe put some retail on the first floor, and then put units above. I think units above because property across the street is it's been an old cigar factory for years. And that owner was gonna develop it, fell through, tried again, it fell through again. We looked at that many years ago. But there's some housing that occurred, development just about a block down the street, I think it was a 2-acre site and they built, I don't know how many units, 198 units there.
So about 40 to 50 units potentially.
Yeah, I think,
Okay, Miss.
Oh, just so potentially there could be 40 units.
you could put 40, you might be able to put, 55 units. I don't have the exact number. That would be a zoning
Yeah,
call.
but roughly, okay, more than I thought. Let me put it that way. And it would be most likely apartments.
I would think.
Yeah.
I'm not the developer, but they'll look at the highest and best use.
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Mr. David, before that, did you have,
Go ahead.
okay, Mr. David?
Yeah, I think, truly process, questioned by, Sandra. And, Jeanette, my question has already been answered in terms of, because you mentioned, housing, but you didn't sort of state what type of housing and sort of what it's going to be mixed use and, the configuration of it. But I would also suggest, when a presentation such as this is made, to give us some sort of details and, more like a more beefy, pragmatic statement. That one, because before, when you initiate to, proceed for acquisition, there's gotta be some, talks into it, regarding what the use would be for. seems like not enough information was presented.
Thank you for being on the board. Thank you. Mrs. Malone.
Yes. Yes, those were my questions as well. What would this development look like? How many units? What would be the density? Would it comply with these new rules that we looked at, the overlay district development design standards? Would there be adequate landscaping? Would there be outdoor spaces? Would it be for families? What size of units are we talking about? And maybe those are all things that you will work out later. And right now you just have to get the land, and I appreciate that. And I understand why you can't tell us what your offer was, and I did that. That's cool. I don't need to know that. But I am interested in how it's going to end up. I want to know, what, and I'll just, do you envision this as a family kind of oriented development, or, and what does the city have in mind? And will the schools be affected, and what other issues might arise? But I'm happy that you're gonna do something, I think, because it's a tricky site that doesn't have the depth to develop really a retail development, and then that other corner on Armenia sort of blocks off the idea of using that alley really.
Well, the alley can be closed and, we would pick up 5 feet. Right. The other thing would be is, to acquire, there's a few properties that are rentals on the back side that could maybe be looked at, for acquisition for another exit point. Because, so you have Cypress and you have Howard, they're both pretty active streets,
Right.
In the West Tampa area. So those are all things we look at, but when it comes to development, that would be, the plan would come through the CRA, and then they would probably RFP it to a developer to put in the number of units, because they have to go out for an RFP, because we're in the CRA.
I think,
Bob, Bobby, Mr. Brazil, nobody, no questions? All right, Mr. Brazil.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to some, it's fine. I'd like to speak to some of the things that maybe might answer some of the previous questions. Ms. Jones, I know you had asked about the property. So generally speaking, in these situations, when a property's been a gas station, it can go into a program called the ATR fee if there's potential contamination or if there's a tank in the ground. And what that is a state program that basically the state of Florida, all the bits of tax money that they receive for every fuel purchase goes into this fund. And what happens is that if there is something in the ground, and maybe there has been some leakage, it gets scored based on a certain amount. But what it enables them to do to say, we're going to come clean this up eventually, maybe a long time down the road, maybe sooner, depending on what it is. But you don't have to worry because it's the state's responsibility now. And that enables developers and people to get loans on the property. Now, the city's rules may be different. They may need to have it cleaned before they can do any kind of development on it, which then becomes a different issue, but it changes the viability of use for the site.
Correct. When we do the due diligence, and we do the phase 1, and we do the phase 2, it's gotta be a residential standard. Not a commercial or industrial standard, it's gonna be used for housing. So obviously, we don't want to live there for children or whoever may be living there, so they do that in depth. And so when the in-depth comes back and the levels are elevated, that's a red flag. And so so therefore, then the question is, how do we remediate that? And obviously we go back to the owner, because we're not buying unless we bring the price down. And we want to offset the city's CRA's cost to do that.
Yeah, I've got just a couple of minutes here. And as they're discovering this, I'm learning that, in real estate, it's called lock it up, right? You want to get a property locked up so that you can do so they may not even know what they're going to be doing yet with the property. I mean, it could be down the road, they still have to do a feasibility study, what can we build? But that brings the next question though, does the city currently for this affordable housing have a standard? Like that we're not going to pay within a certain market more than, is there a formula? We're not going to pay more than a certain amount for the property per buildable unit. What is our expectation? Is that part of the due diligence to determine, is this property viable? Or is it just, it's clean, we're gonna close on it, we're gonna figure it out later. I mean, I would like to understand what they consider affordable housing and what the standard is. Affordable housing is affordable to the person that's renting it or buying it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was built affordably. And so there's a big gap there, and how do you guys plan to bridge that gap? Is this a plan where it goes to RFP and then this property is developed by a developer partnered with the city, and then what happens to the property after that? Like, what's the plan with that property?
It's a good question. I mean, honestly, we can't sell city property to CRA without going to an RFP, especially if we're using CRA dollars. But in this case, we are. So there has to be some type of plan, or we'll listen to plans from, you know, you're all developers and you all make a proposal. We're gonna listen to the best plan, not so much the dollars that they're gonna put into it, but the plan to make it happen, make it work. And so that's kind of what we look at. But that's something that is a little bit beyond my realm. It's the next level once it gets to the CRA. And they go through that process. We may do the RFP for them, but we put those controls in there, and then when the proposals are received, they review it and they, you know, look for the best possible use.
And those are the type of questions so that I think the people on this committee don't feel like this CAC is just a formality. We get that sense that as things have changed and the grant process has changed, that the CAC has become a formality more than anything, that there is an input by the people of the neighborhood. We've got special projects, grants that are just opening up windfall of capital for a variety of special interest folks. And everybody here is aware of it, and I think they're concerned about it. The ability not to say anything sends a very clear message to the people of the neighborhood and the city, which is, we don't really care about what you say, we're gonna do it anyway. But if it is at least brought to the CAC for discussion and input, and maybe the CAC doesn't support it, the CRA and city council is gonna have at least some explaining to do at some point, to be held accountable to the people of the community. So that's where I'll leave it on that. I'm not making any judgments. If there was ever to be a vote on this property, I would have to abstain from voting because I have a financial interest on the property, but in one of the parties that is interested, I have a business partnership with, so I would not speak on this property in particular. So
Appreciate that disclosure. Mr. Sedgwick, we already have one round, just hold on. Mr. Sedgwick.
Yes, thank you. Once again, I said Craig, MCRA interim director. I'm hearing the conversations that I mentioned about concerns that we've heard in other CACs or CRAs in relation to the plan. One thing that we've been instituting in some of the outreach and engagement, we're having visioning and engagement sessions with the CACs and neighborhoods and community. It's publicly noticed. It's not in a regular meeting format that you all would have here, to have staff come and present, and hey, these are some of the ideas. We may put up a board with some renderings and the like, and solicit feedback from residents within the community or the CRA, that area, to take that back. There's a survey that has been sent out, and we've done this twice in East Tampa. I believe West Tampa also did it, because there was a meeting, I believe Mr. Nino and Sparks facilitated 7 months ago. But at any rate, we're using that model now because the concern was, what is the plan?
So you're saying after it's acquired, then you're gonna have this outreach that you're talking about now?
Yes.
Yes. They're gonna develop what to do with it.
Correct.
I got it. Okay. That's.
So there would be
That's
an
nice to know. That was.
we're not in a position to
Okay,
carve
that's
out
the
and
new
say,
day.
hey,
That's
this is
the
what's
new day.
going
I
on.
got you. So if
Yes.
you acquire, then y'all gonna have this visionary asking the community what you think, this, that, and we're gonna deal with it.
Correct.
Got it. So we're good.
Because the ultimate goal is to gain site control, then we can kind of figure it out.
Okay.
And what that process is gonna look like, as Mr. Fernandez stated, we will have to ultimately put it out for RFP. And, but before we even get to that, with the build out of the RFP and what the community has communicated that they want to see in that specific site or would like to see,
All right, but
there will be ample
I
opportunity
got
for
you. I
feedback.
appreciate that, but that's, I don't know if y'all are aware of it, but that was what was done on Long Yard. That's why the Long Yard failed the first time the city tried to do something with it. And then the new mayor came and said, we ain't doing that no more. We're gonna have a bed in there, we're gonna bed people in there, we're gonna have community outreach. I remember the meetings over there at Martin Luther King, anyway, Ms. Sanchez. We can wrap this up and move on.
Just very quickly. I got a red flag when you all said that local. That's a state-funded program. They can come in and they get bonus density. But the problem is affordable housing, there's no limit on what you can call affordable housing. For example, there is a 600 unit apartment going down in south of Gandy. 120 of those units are going to be affordable at the 80 to 120% AMI, which means you have to make $70,000 or more for a one-bedroom apartment. Okay? So if this is going to be affordable housing, I think we should be able to give an idea of the range that we want that affordable housing so that it's real affordable housing below the 80%. So the people that really need that housing will be able to, get in line and sign up for it. That's my concern. And any of these things, they say, oh, we're going to do affordable housing. But if you do 80 to 120 AMI, you're not tapping the people that really need it. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we even got the property acquired. That's a down the stream deal, and I understand that. But I think that the fact that we have some people here, and we just added another housing expert on our committee, Mr. David from Tampa Housing Authority, who's done millions of dollars of affordable housing and preached what's affordable in body, the banker. That is our housing person. So with that said, Mrs. Brenda Thrower, what is the answer? Do we have to pass a motion? Y'all just we don't get our comments and that just dies in the sunset. So what do we go? They're saying here that they want West Tampa to support it. So what does that mean? Does that mean we gotta make a motion to say we support it?
Well, y'all had a lot of discussion. Y'all know that the property is opportunistic, so we're moving forward with, trying to get property for y'all. However, it's the pleasure of the CAC. I mean, it's gonna eventually get to the CRA board. But if you want to, at this point, John's he's at a standstill now. He can't go forward until he's got to do the second appraisal. We got to get to a price. And then before it goes, correct me if I'm wrong, when it goes to CRA board, there will be a contract price. There'll be a contract, right? They will be considering.
Okay, but this is
So
what I
at
think.
this point,
I hear this is what I think, though. This is just a suggestion. I'm willing to entertain a motion. I can't make it because I'm the chair as I pass this mic over to Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Ramirez. But I think that I believe in moving forward and getting more information with the caveat that, I would entertain a motion that we move forward with the caveat that it be brought back to us. We're moving forward to support it, but it be brought back to us before with the final numbers that are going to the CRA board for approval, that we have an opportunity to review it and make comments on. That's a motion I want to entertain, and they can take it back and do what they want to do with it. But I think my thing here has been running this thing here as long as I've been running, and I know the vice chair agree with me, is motions that make people move around here, not just us talking, but motions and good ones make people move. And we're on the record as to what we think. So that's my thought. If there's a motion out there on that, otherwise we gonna move on. If y'all don't want to come up with a motion to support it. No, I'm telling you that I can't make a motion because I'm the chair as I pass the mic, but I'm saying I will entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, what are you moving? So you say the
I'm
motion.
moving your exact suggested
So
motion.
you're moving a motion that we move forward,
That we support moving forward in due diligence,
Okay,
and that the deal be brought to us before it's presented to the CRA.
vote. The CRA board.
The CRA board, yes.
All right, that's a motion. Is there a second to the motion? There's a motion by Mrs. Fenton, there's a second by Mrs. Sanchez. Is there any discussion to the motion? No discussion to the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's move on. Thank you very much,
Can
sir.
you make a note that I just need?
yes.
Yeah, you did. You said that you were abstaining. I assume you did not vote.
If you ever have a conflict with this property, you should really disclose it before
He did.
discussion.
He disclosed it before the vote.
Before he discusses it. You really shouldn't participate in discussion.
No, he disclosed it right before the discussion, so, my opinion.
All right, but just keep
Okay,
it.
and going forward, all right, moving on, next item on the agenda is, special project funding request, RFP waiver. Melissa Martinez, and I do not see Ms. Martinez here. She's on.
I'm on the
She's
screen.
on. Oh, okay, you ghosted her now, all right, Mrs. Martinez, can we hear her? You have the floor, Mrs. Martinez.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you very clear.
Okay, perfect. Good evening. For the record, Melissa Martinez. I am the Senior Project Supervisor with the Tampa CRA. I'm going to share my screen because I don't see the documents on the, you should receive on your packet, on your agenda packet, 3 different documents. I wanted, before we get to the memo and the request, I wanted just to kind of come back and remind you of the presentation that was given in front of the CRA board and approval for the commercial project grant request. When the projects are a level 4 that we see down here, there is usually $1 million or more. My team is the team that will take care of, we call it funding request. In this case, based on the community, we receive a request and the special projects grant team, which it comprised from CRA staff, review the application and recommended for the said application to be moved forward to the next step, which will be, and what I'm showing right now here is our special project request guidelines. And it says that if the staff then review the request and decides to move it forward, the next step will be to determine whether a request for a proposal or RFP waiver is will be required. In this case, based on the project that was proposed, we recommended that yes, that we will come to the CAC to request a waiver. And the way that we provide that information in reference of the project is that we assign a project code name. In this case, it's called Project A. This is the first one that we're doing. Then we also put a use, the area, the project cost, and the requested funding amount. And then it's brought up to you. This is the memo that is also on your packet. It includes our recommendations and also includes how this project was complies and aligns with the West Tampa CRP. And then it gives you a little description of, well, a brief description of the project. If my request tonight is for the CAC to recommend moving forward with the RFP waiver. And the next step would be for us, meaning staff, to recommend the RFP waiver to the CRA board. If the CRA board then approves that waiver, then we will invite the applicant to come to the CAC and actually present the project as in total. Any questions?
Is that, I mean, what projects are you talking about? We just.
Oh, that's the thing, that's gonna be there.
Just so.
I think it's a $10 million they're asking for a waiver for.
Well, we got RFP waiver in front of you. And this is where we're talking about, the community, especially, it says RFP waiver. Okay, project here, I'm leaving September 17th, they sent this to us. Shall review the special projects application, and then they go through 9 target area staff recommend RFP waiver request submitted to the city for the recommendations. It's called Project A. So we know that it's gonna be new, you know, this is the way you gotta deal with the city. This is like smoking, this is like a feds training you. Okay, it says Project A, but we know the use is gonna be new construction and multi-modal network, right? Okay.
Correct.
We don't say that. Don't say that. We just say Project A now. We don't know what this is. Okay?
Correct.
All right.
Don't we know what?
Well, I understand, I understand, but I'm just going through, I'm just reading what it says. The new construction and mobile network area, construction work will be within the West Tampa district. Project cost $6.8 million, requested funding amount $10 million. So they're asking us for RPFP waiver If the West Tampa City Records RFP waiver move forward and said recommendation is approved by the CRA board, we'll invite the applicant to present project A at the next available West Tampa City meeting for funding recommendation. We're not giving any funding.
Correct.
It's just a waiver.
It's just a waiver. Once again, this is a process thing, and this is a check and balance thing, and this is trying to at least wake you up and give you sticker shock before the real thing come in front of you. But, you know, I know y'all read behind the lines and read between this and everybody sort of having an idea, but we don't know. I'm gonna play dumb tonight. Okay, so this is what it is. It's a waiver. It's a waiver, okay? It's a waiver. And that's all it is a waiver to move forward. Once again, we could vote a waiver down. We vote a waiver down, it doesn't stop anything. We're an advisory committee, then it's gonna go to the next level to be approved. Is that, let me ask you, Martinez, we say, always ask the opposite to get the truth out. If we vote this down, that we ain't putting no waiver, what happens? It moves forward anyway, right?
Well, no, what happens is if the waiver is not approved, the recommendation is not approved by this body, then what happens is that then we'll use the option of the CAC actually going out and doing their own RFP for this type of project. So this is what the reason that we're recommending for the waiver of the RFP is because it is our belief that the CAC does not want to go and try to spend $56 or $57 million on a project, which is the cost of the project itself. But yes, if it's not,
Yeah, I hear you, okay, but here's the deal, okay, now let's be real, now that I heard that. To my knowledge, this project A that's unknown has already had an RFP and there's already a construction manager selected. It's already been approved by city council, et cetera. So we're not gonna be going out talking to anybody for any RFP. We're just gonna have to do this because of the way that this new grant process just popped up after all of that was done. So now we're trying to do this RFP and try to at least give some alignment. Let me ask you this. So if we, once again, like the previous request, if we don't approve it, it's still gonna move forward for something to happen. Yeah, because we're just advising. And it's gonna tilt things and say that we're gonna go out, well, we're not planning to go out there and do something like that. I don't think so. So the approved thing is that, so we approve this with the condition, you're saying it's gonna come back to us with a real funding request? Because then we will have somewhat subjugated that we agree with the process that was already done to get to where we at. That the RFP was went out, they selected somebody to do this, which I know. And so we're just doing this here, and in that way, we're in alignment. So then if we're in alignment by approving this RFP waiver, then the real ask gonna come in here for the money, right?
correct.
Okay. Y'all heard it. Yes, Ms. Spence, let me, did I see the hand, hold on, that's a hand over here, I just come behind. Let me get Ms. Spence, then I come to you, Ms. Sampson, Ms. Fenn.
I guess this isn't making sense to me because I'm assuming the city is the applicant. Am I right? I mean, what's the big secret here?
No, it's not that, okay, so it's not that it's the secret. We're trying to follow the process that was put in place, and unfortunately, there's some of the, this project particularly, it doesn't fall into the guidelines of what we would like to have on our policy, which is in future projects, their request should come to you this way without you already knowing in the background that something, that a project was already in place. It should come from, unfortunately, we are kind of caught in the middle of a project that had already been spoken and is already public. But we, the CRA staff, we need to still follow our guidelines and the approved policy of how to process this type of projects.
I got it. I don't have an issue with it because we still gonna get a bite of the final apple at the end, but go ahead, Mrs. Fenn.
Well, I guess I want to make sure we're not getting into the air. The city's obviously going to hire a contractor to do this project.
If they've not already hired.
If they've not already.
Hired.
So I don't want anybody to think that we're waiving RFPs for contractors.
No, we're not. The process the process that they used was a board competitive selection process that was quite extensive.
Right.
Okay, so we know, because that's the city, you gotta understand now, we the CRA and there's the city of Tampa. Just keep that in your brain. We the CRA, city of Tampa procured that, not the CRA.
Right.
So now they're coming to us to sort of say, we procured that using the city of Tampa's process. And now we need a waiver because the CRA people are saying, hey, we didn't procure it. So we need a waiver so that we can move the project forward to get to you again about asking for some money from the CRA for the project.
Yeah, I know. It just is a real weird way of
I
going
understand, it's
about
weird.
doing this.
I mean, the bottom line is we're either gonna vote it up or down.
So,
Go ahead.
So for clarification, this is not the norm request. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna say future purchase should not be requested this way. It's just, this is not the norm. This is just a separate instance that we have to still follow the process to be able to move it forward.
Right, so you got anything else, Mrs.
I'll defer.
Okay, okay, I was on this side, and I'm coming over there, Ms. Sanchez was next, and then who was, anyone else on that side? Not Ms. Okay, Ms. Sanchez, go ahead.
Okay. My understanding that this is a capital improvement project for the city. And I think they need to use this waiver for an RFP to make it legal for them to ask us money. I think that's the bottom line to it. Okay? So here's the thing. If you don't have an RFP, which is the guarantee of a contract for a certain amount of money, then they can come back and ask us for more money. That's what I see on it. Now they're asking us for 10 million now. Now, when they really get down and start building, and like everything else that's been happening, it goes up another 10 million. Are they going to come back to us? So I think that's the problem with it, is they're trying to legitimize us paying for a capital improvement. It's us subsidizing the city. It has nothing to do with affordable.
All right, over here, where's Mr. Long, you better help me, because I got something to say. Okay, here's what I look at. You raise your hand now, because I want to get, okay, Mr. Garcia.
All right, and forgive me, because I had to, take a visit to the restroom. So if I missed something in the beginning, is this a waiver of RFP for all things in level 4 that are $1 million plus for special, or one particular special project?
This project, it's a project.
Project A, which talking about, we don't know anything about
Well,
it.
we don't know anything about it, but we know something about it. So this is why I said, this is a procedure issue and you're gonna see more of these waivers, okay? Trust me, there was some on city council agenda, okay? And they got extended. So you're gonna see more of these waivers. And let me just say it as a sidebar, because I track this stuff, okay? You're gonna see waivers coming in. Here's another reason why, not just this particular case. But for example, some people have facade grants, the old facade grants, the old vanilla shell grants. Well, now that we got this commercial grant, they're saying, hey, we want to be able to throw that out. Because, we have to get our permit now, and they want to come back under the commercial grant, which is higher values, more money you can get, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna see more waivers coming in here, okay? So just be aware that they're supposed to come to us first, I believe, as brother. And those that I saw,
Level for 3 and above.
I know, but there was some that ain't level nothing, and they didn't come to us, but we waited. And so, I objected that they were on the salary board's agenda, but thank God that they were continued to, after this discussion about this waiver, till November, which really saved me from having to raise hell, especially raise hell tonight about them approving something at the CRA board, and we didn't know nothing about it. It was the West Tampa project, and I went back in my records, in my FBI files, and found the actual project, because I got the original project list going back to day one, including when everybody got on it, but that's another story. So that's, what I'm gonna say is this about it. I don't have a problem moving this forward because it's a procedural correction. So it gets the thing moving, because I hate to, because number one, we are not just, I'll say this, for this spread, we're not just about affordable housing. West Tampa CRA funds are for infrastructure, and infrastructure can be roads, streets, mobility trails, and all of that. As long as it's in the boundary of the CRA. And our boundaries go out there to halfway in the river. If you know the eastern strips of the west hand side, it's half of the river, if you know the line. Okay, if it says half of the river. So we go all the way out to half of the river. I don't have anything, the trails, walking paths. I don't have any problem with that because it's infrastructure. Okay, so to me, affordable housing infrastructure, it's an electric mix to get one complete area done, connectivity, mobility, and opportunity. I'm not gonna sit here and play a hate on something like that. I'm gonna be open-minded, but I'm not gonna say, I'm not for that. I'm not for not going forward and hearing things out and moving forward. Because one thing I found out, you can stop something now, but as soon as different people come around, it picks back up and moves on. So the key is, what if the majority thing? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people in the night. It's gonna end up being, if I have to pass the mic, get this thing moving up and down, especially somebody make a motion that we go ahead and move late. So there's some more conversation to make, no motion to be made, and we're gonna move on.
I just want to make one point.
Yeah.
I'm not averse to them asking for 10 million. Okay. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is this waiver. Because if you put a waiver on that RFP, they can come back and ask you for more money. This project started out at $26 million. Now it's at 56.8, okay? They are having problems getting access because of where it's running this private land except for Julian B. Lane Park. Okay, there's no parking there. So until they get the grants to be able to put this all the way through to where they want to, there's still issues going on with this. So my problem is it was originally 26 million, now it's 56.8. They're asking for us for 10 million of it. And like I said, I understand that it's important for West Tampa for economic development. However, waiving this RFP, I think is dangerous.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the majority of people, but that's your opinion. So, okay, Mr. Ramirez.
I have concerns, that this 56.8 that we have. I don't know, camera, I'm good with this. This 56.8, is that just what encompasses the CRA? Because I know Project A is part of a much bigger plan.
No, if this is the project that I think it is, the project does not completely sit in the total West Tampa CRA. That's a fact.
That's, well, I see here,
And the only portion-
says construction will work within the West Tampa
Right,
CRA.
yeah, but that's,
Well,
it's a West Tampa area, but they didn't say West Tampa CRA. So no, the project does not fully sit in the West Tampa CRA. I know that for a
it
fact.
says West Tampa CRA district here.
Right, but
So I guess that's the question I'm asking.
I'm telling you, no, it does.
So can I interrupt for a moment? So that's a valid concern, and that's a concern that should be addressed when the applicant comes in to do the presentation. Because right now, the only information and the other thing that I'm listening about the RFP and the waiver, the RFP that we're waiving is for the CAC, the CRA, the West Tampa CRA to self-perform this project out. For us to write an RFP to send it out for this multimodal project for us to self-perform it. That's the RFP that we're waiving, not an RFP for the construction project that the city's doing.
Right.
So I
And
hope
the thing-
that helps.
It explains it to me. So no, the project does not sit fully in West Tampa CRA period. I know that for a fact.
I know that for.
Okay, and the only portions that we could even fund. Okay, because it's 8 seconds. You know, you're the person that's over this project, but we can't say the project. It's 8, right? We're trying to keep that a number, but we know it is.
That's what I guess that's my next question.
Yes.
Is that 10 million is for our part.
It can only fund if there's 10 million, it may be 0 million, or maybe
Correct.
less million. But whatever it is that this group collectively say, and we're advisory, which means we say whatever we want when it goes to the city council. If I had not raised the issue and put this forward, Ms. Brenda, we wouldn't even have a comment on this.
I just wanted,
It done happened already with the sale of the board.
I am for Project A. I just wanted to be very
Yeah, go
clear.
ahead, go ahead.
I just wanted to be very clear that the 56.8 is not our portion.
No.
We're only doing 10, no. The 10 might be our portion, or we don't know.
No, but-
Some subset of.
Let me say this.
56.8.
Let me say this, our money, okay? Because people get CRAs mixed up, because I'm the guy that's gonna call the feds and if it's wrong, okay? CRA money from West Tampa can only be used for projects in the CRA. So if this project is the trail, say if the trail comes down there south of Kennedy, ain't gonna be funded with no CRA, there's 8 segments.
I understand.
So they're gonna have to show when they come back to present how they gonna utilize the 10 million or what they asking for, which is whoever this applicant is, they're gonna have to show us that any segment of this project has to lie in the CRA legal description, and that's the only part of the project that could even be considered.
I understand all that.
Okay.
And I agree.
Okay.
But it's being presented that the 56.8 is all within the CRA. And I have an issue with that because it might not all.
Well, I don't think that's what it says, but
It says project name, project
No.
name, reviews is this. The area, it says within Tampa CRA, project cost $56,800,000.
but that needs to be elaborated on. It is not.
That's the only thing. I just want clarity. I want to be clear that you're only doing.
So for the record, if you being our person on the on the project, let's put it that way. You're saying that total 56.8 million is not within the entire West Tampa Salary District.
I don't think it is, because I mean,
I know it.
from the initial estimates, you know, and I know there's inflation and everything's gone sky high, but it was a lot less than 56, for just our portion,
Right.
for just the West Tampa CRA.
Right, but what happened is the connectivity and the bringing connectivity, the mobility, the additional features, because remember, I'm the one signing the letter, I'm not trying to get a copy of it, the letter that went in this child to ask for the $24 million building grant to even do this.
I guess all this will be cleared up. today.
Yeah, so, but we say, no, I'm on the opinion that approving a waiver ain't gonna make the world end,
I think the last thing, Melissa, what you said, the last thing kind of cleared it up.
Go ahead.
I
Okay.
just want to make sure that
Okay.
it's clear that
anything else?
things are being presented to the CAC.
Anything else, Mr. Vice Chair? All right, anybody else? If not, I entertain a motion to approve or disapprove the RFP for this project. Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to move forward with project A.
Wait.
Wait. Our
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Bonnie Wilson. Is there a second?
What did he say?
Well, there's a second by Mrs. Maloney.
I can hear his motion.
He made a motion to move forward with a RFP waiver for the special project A presented tonight. And a second by Mr. Motion, let's vote. Motion was second by Ms. Maloney. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. All right, let's just show of hands. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. 3 nays. Motion passes. Was you a nay down there, Miss?
No, were you counting me? I was putting my sweat.
Yeah, I mean, your hand
No, I'm-
was right, you didn't.
That counts.
Was you a nay or nay?
You're-
Yeah, Mr. David has to get it, do we?
Yes, I was a yes.
A yes for it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, you got it count.
The nays were.
Ms. Williams,
Yes,
Ms.
I
Williams,
was afraid you were counting.
Ms. Lucia, and Ms. Sanchez, nay. All right, let's move on. All right, that's it, Mr. Martinez.
That's it. Thank you.
You got it, thank you. All right, moving right along on the agenda. Okay, that's ready for West Tampa Community Arts Survey. Sorry for making you wait so long, but you know, everything's important to us and we believe in full disclosure. Moving right along. You got a mic, you don't. Okay, so that working with your Tampa. Great.
I have to stand over here so I can see the presentation.
There you go. You got a pointer there, sir.
I mean, just anywhere in the total range.
Sorry about that, technical difficulties. I'm Corey Robinson. I am the Arts and Cultural Project Coordinator for the CRA. And last time I came, I presented a process. I see some new faces. What I saw last time. I just wanted, the signal boxes were brought up when I was here last time. I had a few conversations with some members of the CAC about the signal boxes and about some other projects. So I just wanted to bring up the information I have that's new. A community survey was put out, so I'll be reporting on that and kind of giving you guys an update on the project and seeing what everyone thinks about it so far. So we're looking to, the idea was to wrap some signal cabinets in West Tampa with some artist designs. And these are some boxes that I managed in Dallas County, just to give you an idea of what we're looking for, like full wrapping. That deters the graffiti and the vandalism the most if they're fully wrapped. And if they have like a bump out on it for batteries or anything like that, we want to make sure that's all wrapped in with the artist design and everything. It's just some more, all the artists are labeled at the bottom, and credited. So you can see a few different styles of boxes. And these are just some shots of them fully wrapped on all the sides to make sure that we are deterring any sort of vandalism between the boxes. These are the locations of the boxes that the city of Tampa owns. These are city-owned boxes, so these are ones we can get permission to. I've already talked to mobility about it. We've gone through the list of the boxes. I presented them with a list of boxes, all the boxes in West Tampa's district. These are the ones that the city owns. This next slide is a picture representation of all the boxes on all the opportunities that we have in West Tampa. The other boxes are either county boxes or FDOT boxes that make it a little bit more strenuous to get approval to wrap those. Some boxes that are owned by the city that you may see around, some boxes I found out also slated for approval, and they don't have any electronics in them or not using or not being in use right now and are slated for removal. So these are the 9 boxes that are a possibility for the project. These are just some guidelines that would have to be followed for the project. No text or numbers, no noticeable faces, no logos. The artist signature can only be on the back side of the box facing away from the street. Those are just kind of like some vendor guidelines above, you know, that all the artwork can have to be reviewed by the CSD and the CRA board and art selection committee. Can't have any dark colors. And then just some like logistics on wrapping the boxes for the vendor. The community survey, we sent the community survey out, it was online. I know that the community survey sometimes goes out in paper form too, and is a little bit costly for this project. We just put out the online version of this. It went out to 117 people and we got 22 responses. And the responses seem to be very positive about the project, so that's a good thing. So the first question, how often do you see the proposed signal boxes in West Tampa? Every day I live or work in the community, 68%. The second most popular answer was 31.82%, and it was like occasionally when I'm commuting or visiting friends or family, still a positive answer. These are some of the comments, or these are what people would like to see on the boxes. So the top item that the community would like to see on the signal boxes featured is historic events or images. Second would be something imaginative and non-realistic. So these are all, and then it kind of drips down from there. So I would say that the bottom two, contemporary pop art and activities such as sports and fitness would not be probably something we would move forward with. And then
No animals, huh?
yeah, they didn't, and no one voted for the animals. That's a surprise too, you know, so, I was also surprised by that. And then another question was, the top answer was what kind of colors, bright and vibrant colors was the top answer at 63%. And then nature-based colors was, second at 27.27%. Would you like a local artist to work on these projects? Overwhelmingly, yes, at 86%. And then the next question was, is that local artist, should that be Tampa only or the greater Tampa Bay area? Those were a close, but Tampa only came up as 54%, and the greater Tampa Bay area came up as 40.91%. So keeping it local is definitely the way to go. These are some comments people made on the survey when there was a short answer question on just like sharing their responses. I would say 90% were positive. There was one that said, I don't want to see any art. But these are all some of the responses that were stated in the survey. So the project seems to have a well response with the people that did fill out the survey. So I wanted to update you on that. The budget for this project would be about $35,000. That includes the artist stipend, design fee, permitting, vendor cost for wrapping. The single box artist wrap benefits, improve neighborhood appeal, prevent vandalism, create inviting spaces, improves culture, supports community by funding local artists, and neighborhood intriguing. I sent out a little paper, I don't know if Brenda gave it to you last time, about thinking about some themes. Those don't have to be discussed necessarily tonight. That would be something for like if we decide to move forward on this project. But some themes for the boxes can be discussed, and that would be suggested by the CAC. We can then write it like, you know, in the call to artists, we can then write, you know, a little blurb about these such themes to give the artists an idea of what they're applying for and things like that. And then it really gives the community what they're looking for in the designs, instead of like getting a lot of designs that may be not what the community actually wants to see. And then there is another opportunity that I included on the community survey that was brought to my attention. It goes in hand in hand with the quick build that's happening on Main Street with Vision Zero. Vision Zero offered to help with street closure and permitting to do ground murals. And they were suggesting either to do two intersections, one being Fremont and Maine, and one being Albany and Maine. And then the other option would be to go from Howard to Albany and do a ground mural on the entire street. I just wanted to touch base on the community survey and then some facts about ground murals, just to give everybody a little bit of an idea of how it benefits the community. So these are just some ground murals that have been taken from other areas in the country. But the community survey came back, would you like to see murals on the intersections of Maine painted by professional artists? 70% said yes. 13% are unsure, and 9% said no. So an overwhelming said yes, they'd like to see that. Asphalt murals slow down traffic. Do you think these would benefit Main Street? 63% said yes, 18% said no, 18% are unsure. Kind of a good outcome on those questions for that. There was only 2 questions for that, but these are just some statistics from Bloomberg about asphalt murals. The rate of car crashes involving pedestrians and cyclists decreased by 50% in these areas. The rate of drivers yielding to pedestrians increased 27%. There's a little quote from Bloomberg at the bottom with pedestrian deaths at a 40-year high in the United States. these projects feel more urgent than ever, demonstrating that all our projects have real, meaningful, and measurable safety impacts. 25%, the rate of driver pedestrian conflicts decreased. The budget for these two murals, if it was two intersections or it was the full, block, would be about, 18,500. This would be a community project, and we would, want to request an artist and like choose an artist that is, has done these before, because it is a very specific type of paint that you have to work with, and also to get the community involvement. All the ground murals that have been done around Tampa for the most part so far, had a great community involvement. They've been out painting with the artists. They've been part of the project. It gives a sense of community. So that is something to think about when like we can get the youth out, and also like whoever wants to come out to help with these, that wants to be a part of the process. I just wanted to bring that up because this is an opportunity that was brought up to me, for the community. So I just wanted to present the data at this time and, just, let you guys hear it.
Do you have a task tonight?
I don't have an
We need to move this up. We've been talking about murals, we've been talking about boxes. We need to make the motion and get this on the record. We need to move you forward. But wait, hold on. So, we need to, I'm tired of hearing about this. We've been dealing with this going on 3-4 years. We had it, didn't have it. And you have gave us the most comprehensive thing today, Mr. Sanchez.
I just want to know, it says community survey, 117 people were surveyed and only 22 responses.
That's correct.
So your statistics are done on 22 people.
Yes.
Some people don't want to respond.
I think that's something that we have to look at when we do surveys.
But some just people just don't want to
But
respond.
that's all, I just want to make that statement. I'm done.
I have
All
a
right.
question.
Yes, Mrs. Maloney.
Thank you, sir. I just wonder, our neighborhood association wanted to do an asphalt mural at the corner of Brown Vic. Both of the city were told that, there just wasn't any money for it. This was at the time that grants were stopped, and then I was told that, well, you have to come up with the money in advance, and then we'll reimburse you for it. And does our body here, do we do stuff like this?
Yeah.
Do we?
They wouldn't be here talking to us that we couldn't.
I'm just saying, it's not infrastructure, it's art.
Yeah, but you do have a public art line item.
Yeah.
We do have that too. Everything isn't 1,000% infrastructure necessarily.
Another intersection.
Well, now you get smart, see? See, that's how you get stuff done around here. You make a motion to get people to go along with you and say you want to prioritize your intersection. See, most of this stuff done around here now.
No, that sounds awesome. And like, we can look into that, like we can,
I want you to look into it.
So right
Just do this.
Wait a minute, hold on, Ms. Maloney. I hear you. We got 9 intersections right now.
That's that.
And you're saying that, which one is?
so it's nine signal boxes, but only
Okay, well,
two intersections for the.
Okay,
Okay, I totally agree with everything you said about the benefits of these kinds of things. It's at the corner of Roman Vic.
Okay.
is that a motion, Mrs. Maloney?
Yes, I would like to please move that we add another location to this list of potential asphalt art projects.
So, and then second to
Roman
that?
Vic.
Is that a second to that? All right, second, is there any discussion? No discussion? Yes, Bonnie.
Yeah.
No. I'm cool with the, box wraps, but the street, I have concerns about the maintenance of, because they look great the first month or so, but then after like 3 months, the paint peeled up and like get like cars on like, and they just look nasty and disgusting.
They have to touch it?
I mean, but then like, okay, then what's the maintenance of that? Because the one by the Strat Center, I mean,
Well-
looks, I mean, just did that within a year or so.
Yeah.
It looks really bad. But no, like, but But again, like even the ones that they did, like I wanna say, in on Tampa Boulevard, again, like they really don't hold up. I'm good with the wraps, but the streets, I'm not, so, because they just don't hold up over time.
You are correct. They do have a shorter shelf life, usually about 2 to 3 years, depending on the traffic. The traffic at the Strauss intersection is pretty heavy and like she mentioned, it did get, it was a little bit off time with the construction of that high rise, which then obviously put more traffic over that zone. There is a short shelf life, so it is understandable if it's not worth the money to the community. You know, that is, something that has to be thought about. So like,
We're not asking improving any money tonight.
no,
We're, the latest motion, this still in motion, I don't wanna get out of here sometime. Her motion was that she just wanted to add to the list. What's the other two? I didn't find those.
it's Fremont and Albany and it's, I'm sorry, Maine and Fremont and Albany and Maine.
Or definitely Albany, Maine, but that's gonna be a four-way stop.
Yeah, and that's gonna change, so that would deter traffic, so, and you're gonna.
And what was the other one?
Maine and Fremont.
That close?
Well, it's been brought to.
That's like going, one block, then you got another.
Well,
Why not, why not Rome in Maine?
It was suggested by so this budget only covers like materials and artist fees. Because the rest of it would be provided by, the road closure would be funded by, the quick build team and everything. They offer to provide.
What road closures?
For like, because to paint this, it would have to they would have to block the road off.
But my question is, well, hold on.
That is true.
Hold on. So let me get this straight. So right now, you saying that there's two to be considered, Maine and Albany.
Yeah.
And Maine and what?
Fremont.
That's like one block away, man. What's that about?
There's a whole block.
Or you could do the whole block from Howard to Albany and that whole, business corridor would, Maine would get painted and then.
But then the virus thing is gonna look terrible.
And then we got the park, the construction with the two parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is something to.
Oh, you think that's a good idea then?
No, thinking if we do it now.
Let's just wait. Okay, but let's get the concept that we're for it, but we gotta look at when and where. Timing is crucial, because you said the stress. So crucial, all right, so let's move the motion. Is there any discussion on this Maloney's motion to add Fig and Rome intersection? No discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Pass. Now, that takes care of that. So we got a list of three,
That's right.
but we haven't decided when, where, and how. Is that good? All right, what else? On the wraps.
And then the wraps, if this is something that.
We got 9 that the city owned,
Yeah,
that we could start the process.
that's correct.
Okay, is there a motion to do that?
Motion to do the 9.
To start the process of, is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Maloney, y'all, I got a thing going on, right? A motion by Mr. Wilson, second by Ms. Maloney. Is there any discussion about the 9 racks? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Man, y'all getting good in here tonight. All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
And we moving by motion. Y'all, Mr. Maloney, you learn how to say that motion was? Now that it's in the record, it'll come back, and you get like the same. We made a motion, and they ain't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can tell. Down at the CRA, we made motion, and they did nothing about it. All right, moving on, next on the agenda. Thank you very much. Now, you get started here. It's CRA staff reports, Mrs. Brenda.
Yes. Okay, so in your packet, like every month, you get, reports from the teams. Project team report is the first one up, and I believe we have Ms. Martinez online if there's any questions about the report.
Good here.
If I can make a comment while you guys reviewing the report. I wanted to make a clarification on the report that on the column that is called status, if it's the status is not started, it's either because we have not started the project, we're concentrating on a different project, or that we have not received requests yet or are still working on a request before bringing it to the CAC. Also, the line item number 9, the acquisition of the 1940 West Spruce Streets. It is my understanding that this is not an infrastructure project. It's going to be handled and disposition of the property by Ms. B. Parks. So it will be transferred to the housing team. So I'm taking this out of this report.
Got it. Any other correction or modification? Mr. Virginia?
Just to let you know, line 16, the planning potential Main Street Ultimate, for clarification, this is just a placeholder that the CEC requested to keep track of any projects that are created or developed out of those studies. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Does anybody have any questions on the project team report by Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez, and then Mr. Bernardus.
I have concerns on 2101 West Main and this brownfield. And I want to share a conversation I had recently with COHATCH.
2101, number, what number is that?
It's Freedom Park.
Which number on this list?
Number 3.
Number 3. Go ahead.
In the last 2 years, COHATCH has been working on the property of Main Street. They disappear, then they come back and they disappear. Well, I found out that they bought property in Lakeland, St. Pete, Bradenton, and now Tarpon Springs. They have already remodeled older buildings, and they have commercial, they have businesses going in there. So I happened to run into 2 of the ladies from COHATCH, as a matter of fact, at lunch today, and they told me the problem is the brownfield. There's no rush for them to get that finished until the brownfield is finished. And when I stop to think about it, it is what's holding up economic development for our business district. Nobody wants to practice next to a brownfield. We're dead in the water as far as building up our business area if we can't get this moved along. So I just want to find out exactly what it is that's stopping this. This has been going on for 3 years, and I understand there's a process, but for somehow or another, it's just not moving fast enough. We cannot evolve our business district unless that is finished. You don't want to open up a restaurant across the street, you know, but so I just wanted to share that. COHATCH have gone on with their business. They've gone to other cities. They have bought property. They have redone it. So there's no sense of urgency for them to finish there, and I don't blame them. Are we gonna open restaurants next to brownfield? So I just want to bring that to your attention, that it's something that we really, really need to be pushing, and we really need to work on.
Mrs. Martinez.
Thank you.
Ms. Martinez, shall we respond? On the.
If I may say a couple of things, because I have some updates, and I wrote it down on my report for this particular meeting. Yes, it's taking, I agree with you, Ms. Sanchez. It takes a long time. I don't know how long this usually should take for environmental study and environmental testing to take place. Then it goes to the county, EPC reviews it, then sends it back to the consultant. The consultant then EPC requested the consultant to go back and test additional areas which were outside of our property boundaries, but they needed to be tested because of the proximity of the boundaries. It came back today. I received an email that the final draft report was submitted to EPC for review. On the same time, today there was also, because I'm trying to work simultaneously, so then one thing is completed, I'm ready for the other. So today, after several months that I've been working with the purchasing department, we finally had a site meeting for pre-proposal for an RFP that has gone out for the soil removal and replacement. Once I finally get the okay from EPC to complete, for us to go in and do this project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, Ms. Sandy, keep pushing them.
I will.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Ramirez.
I just kind of wanted some, talk about real quickly about number 14, the ADA program, Park ADA program.
I
Um,
bel,
I
sorry.
did see the email that Ms. Thrower sent out. Thank you for sending that. Thank you for Ms. Sanchez for pushing the issue. I just want to make sure we're not getting ourselves in trouble here. We have 185,000 for Ray Park, 50 for, read my writing. And then 150 for Freedom, so $385,000 for the ADA upgrades. Now, in Ray Park, because we are redoing that, we already have ADA upgrades there. So is this in addition to what we already have set aside?
So that's a good question. I had that already conversation with Parks Department because when these funds were allocated was last year before we had all the design and the bring up to the funding request. It should not. And I already told them that money should go back to the CRA our accounts because we are already putting money aside for the renovations of that park.
Yeah. Same thing with Celsius Park at
Correct.
$50,000. And then same thing with Freedom, 150,000, but it should only be for that inclusive playground equipment and not for everything else. So that 385 should go down. If I'm- Or 396 should go down if I'm understanding correctly.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
How much is it supposed to go down, Mr. Vice Chair?
I don't know how much that inclusive equipment costs, but it shouldn't be 100.
Okay, Mr. Martinez, can
There
you bring
is
us
I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's a breakdown that was given to us in a report for each different park. So I can go ahead and have that conversation with Parks Department so then we can start bringing down those amounts and put it back into our budget or the
I
West Tampa
appreciate it.
budget, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
and when we see this list next month, it's gonna show less than 396, 129.
I will do my best to have it for you next month, but my list runs a month behind, just to let you know. So this list that you're looking, it says, usually I update the list at the end of the month. So if I have that information and all the results by the other month, you're more than happy to look at it on the next month. If not, for sure, the following one. So give me some lead time to be able to work on this. It's not just changing, it's not just changing numbers on a list. I'm trying.
I got you, there's a little lag, you all realize, just listen.
It's
I
okay.
appreciate it. And then the last thing, and Ms. Martinez, this has nothing to do with you, but I'm all for having inclusive playground equipment in our playgrounds. I think that's great. I'm just a little offended by the process that this was done without having any kind of input from the CAC. I think there's just a lack of disrespect for us. And I just want to put that on the record.
Listen, Chair, you sound like me. Let me just say this, okay? Go ahead, Ms. Sanchez, I'm gonna say what I got to say. Go ahead, Ms. Sanchez.
Ms. Martinez, could you please correct Fremont
Use your mic, Ms.
Park?
Sanchez.
It is Freedom Park.
Which
What
one,
item
what
you
line
on?
are you talking about?
Which number you on, Ms. Sanchez?
14, the Parks ADA program. They're
Oh.
asking us to pay for ADA improvements on Fremont Linear Park. It's not Fremont Linear Park, it's Freedom Park.
No,
Yeah,
the
Fremont Linear Park is
Freedom Park.
Yeah,
Well, you got-
I thought it was Fremont Park.
we've decided to open that up. So it shouldn't be on our parks list, because we have not ever addressed as far as redoing that park.
So, you're gonna build the streets up, there's gonna be a little more.
It's still a park.
Add Freedom Park. Freedom Park should be on our parks list. Okay?
It's not a park yet.
It's not a park yet.
It's not a park yet. It is not, listen,
Okay,
it is not legally a park to the planning commission designates a park.
Okay.
That's why they on there yet.
okay. I do also think that for Fremont Park and the potential of Freedom Park, that we now know that we need to add that, whatever it is they want, that equipment that they expect us to add. But we also need to look at things like Salsinas Park is a postage stamp park. The request that Erica Moody made was to put in something to go up the step. When we had the platform there, that's been taken away. So we don't need that. So as far as the ADA for Salsinas Park, we've taken care of that, just like Carlos says. And as we move forward, we shouldn't be told that we need to give this money to the city or whoever is taking that money, because we take on the responsibility of putting in the ADA. I agree with Carlos. We should be insulted that we were never included in that conversation, and that's why I sent out that letter.
Yeah, let me say this about, we did receive some documents from, Mr. Rowe on this, right? We had, I think it was a long email that was in red with an answer and this and that. You know what was strange about that, all of that, when I looked at the actual vote, the motion made, there was no motion made to prove any of this stuff as the CRA board. The motion said to receive and file. So I don't think that was approved, but the document you said that the motion was to receive and file the reports. It didn't say, pull it up. I don't see why it's not here with us tonight, because they didn't make a copy and give it to us. I guess we're just supposed to print it off our own computer, right? But I didn't print it out to bring over here to talk about it. But it's not here tonight, right? This is,
No, that was separate.
so what I'm saying is, when I read the motions that were made on this issue by the CRA board, they do not say motion to approve it. It says motion to receive and file. So it's never been approved. So they didn't necessarily disrespect it. They just thought they had disrespect. So that if somebody technically said, did y'all approve this? They have not really read the motion. You got the motion now?
I'm pulling it up.
Pull it up. I don't remember saying they approved it. The black part at the bottom says the motion was to receive and file. So it ain't been approved by city council or CRA board. I just want to make that notation. I do read this stuff. Okay, I got a loan tonight. Okay, so to read this stuff, you know. But it's just but then we're going on into this, and you guys called them that hated double dicker look like. Because we already, and what they said is we're 1 month back, okay, so we got this lag, and because of this lag, same thing with these waivers, you know, we got this lag, and we got this, all this stuff. And I feel for the city, because they're trying to get all this stuff synchronized. It's like when you hit synchronize with your computer, your phone is synchronized, your computer is synchronized, everything. So the city is in a synchronization process across the board with these departments, is what's happening. And we're gonna see this happening more, until it settles down. And everything is synchronized in the departments, know about each other, what they're doing, these new programs we have coming up, what we're doing. So you guys are doing a great job of helping the city get synchronized, by bringing out these issues that don't make no sense and don't match up. Just like I told you, what I read in the motion, it didn't say it was approved, it said that it was to be received and filed. Okay, that's what it say?
You can clarify.
Okay, all right, moving on. That brings us to next, Mr. Thoreau, where we at?
Next question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bob, I didn't see you.
No, I didn't really it's in regards to number 6, the Tampa Move Quick Bill program. Like when Nick presented this, like, that's almost like 2 to 3 months ago. We had a diagram that showed some parking on Main Street.
Yeah.
And we had some concerns about that, and he was gonna take that back. Did we ever get an update on that? Because everyone
I
had
think
parking going all the way down to, all the way down to Park Boulevard, because we already have concerns about that.
I thought that the last time that the mobility came in, they addressed that. I know on the plans, there was an issue about the width of the parking stalls. And that one got resolved. And then the other issue was on the corners, like there was on-street parking, that there was a concern about turning into Main Street. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, like I think the issue right now, like there's parking, like they're like Maine and Oregon, but then they're going to expand the parking from Willow down to North Boulevard. That was the concern, is because knowing the current issue that we have between Willow and Oregon, you know, you pretty much have to go pull off onto Main Street and almost get hit. And Tina can attest to this coming down Oregon. So there are concerns about, like, now that you're going to expand the parking down from Willow to North Boulevard, you're going to make it, you know, increase accidents. So we were somewhat like someone opposed opening up the on-street parking.
If I may add to that,
Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
We also brought up the issue about the schools being nearby and for them to coordinate with the school district to make sure that we're not adding.
So what I'm hearing is, no, we have not had, we had an update on July that it says, but we ain't had nothing since then to update us on what we done put it on that update. So I think they need to come one more time here and clarify this, I think, right? Because what I'm hearing is we have not got a warm fuzzy feeling about final.
Yeah,
Because of the issue that y'all asked, I don't think we heard that.
Yeah, especially with Publix coming in, like you can have parking down by that entrance, it's gonna be really challenging coming in and out of that Publix. If you have on-street parking.
The housing authority, I don't know, we got David here.
I don't think,
Yeah, they down in their part of town, so.
But now I understand what you're saying about the on-street parking. We had concern about the visual thoroughfare because people park. But again, it's gonna help, once we finalize the vision that we have for Maine, I think it will resolve. But and it will also slow traffic down because people speed down the road.
you thinking having on-street parking will slow it down?
Yeah, but when you have it sort of narrows the road, when you have it open, people speed. I mean, we've experienced people speeding down Main Street and, we want it to be a walkable, urbanized, not just for,
I would,
open thoroughfare.
I would agree with that, but I don't think I've seen more people, potential accidents getting out of their cars on Main Street. Because they're not slowing down.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we've thought about some of the stuff that we have to do and working with, Sierra and the police, we've been having meetings and sort of make sure that we introduce and set that, design, through, the crime, prevention through, environmental design. So, but we're doing that, remember now, it's still a construction site, so.
No, I know it's
We're still procuring that process, but we do know that our plan is to slow traffic down. By the time we finish in terms of that vision, we're gonna have a lot of retail. All the buildings in Maine will have ground floor retail. We're gonna have a hotel. We're gonna have office building. And then we want to provide, heavy, intense vibrancy of the ground floor area, to make it a walkable, safe, street. But I know you're thinking, I mean, it's not gonna be that just because people are parking, you have on-street parking, that's why
Well,
you're gonna have accidents. I don't think so.
like, given that there was no parking before the current buildings on Main between Willow and Oregon, we have definitely noticed an increase of incidences now that the on-street parking has occurred. With people trying to come out of Oregon onto Main, there's been incidences. There's been instances where people almost got hit. But, actually, they're,
Visual because of car parked or, I mean.
because like the cars, there's been more instances of safety issues with the cars parked on Main than before. So if we're going to extend the on-street parking, we need to be very careful on how we do it. But based on current experience, well, with the cars being there now between Oregon, maybe between Willow and Oregon, it's been challenging. Tina, I don't want to speak for you, but
It
you,
is, I don't even go that way anymore because
I haven't been in that situation. Yeah.
as a resident of
With that construction there now, we got to turn out even further, and that makes it worse.
right, the whole parking,
But I think once it settles down, and we get striking, because see, when you understand, they don't get a park that close they parking now.
Exactly,
So
so.
they're gonna have to, it's gonna be space, they gonna lose parking space when they put a strike. When they do this so-called quick deal or whatever we're doing, there's gonna be less parking on that area where they parking now.
I don't know about that, but I think.
And the other thing is, they have, right by that bank, the credit union,
Great.
right, it says no parking, but I've seen delivery trucks sit there, put the flashing lights on and run inside the building, and sitting that end up blocking where you can't see down there either. So even though it says no parking, service vehicles come in and park.
Yeah, but at some point, you're gonna have violators, so people that are parked right, but I do know other places that you have been. I don't know, and I'm from DC,
Mhm.
and Georgetown is similar to that. And when you have folks park on this street, it slows down something when you have retails and corridors and restaurants. It makes it a very communal, walkable environment, but you're gonna have some violence. You're gonna have those. But right now, it's still under construction. We have not finished that. I mean, in terms of striping, in terms of, control spacing for parking. So, I don't see all, typically where on-street parking will increase, the notion that you're gonna have accidents.
And none of that, that's.
I will respectfully disagree, just being a resident going down Main Street
Man,
and, but
All right, so what else, Mr. Good? So what's your comment, Mr. Wilson, what's the comment to it?
I think like based on the conversation we've had, like, I think we were not in full support of having on-street parking. I know, again, at the end of the day, it's gonna be the housing authority and the city making the decision, but I think there's going to be increased incidences like we're experiencing now on that one, given that we had that one block.
Here's the way I get resolved. Mr. Ramirez, you're familiar with it. How many traffic incidents reports we done had, yeah?
I have not pulled up the crash.
All right, so let's say this, let's have, I think we got enough unknowns that we need to have them come back. Whoever that was, Mrs. Burke.
Just please from ability about that, the quick builds is gonna start, mid-September. So if they come back on a,
I'm good. We need to come back and just say, this what we doing, and it's already in the works. We need to have some, my people are asking questions that we can't get answers, and we need some answers, and the only way is to get them in here. I don't care if they finish building and don't listen to us, but we need to get them in there. So can you get them in here?
And then also.
I mean, that way we can get this over with, they'll say, this what we doing, it's too late, whatever, and then we can do whatever we gotta do. Okay, but we need to get them in there.
So we did raise the concern, given what we have been experiencing on that one block since they instituted on-street parking. There's been issues.
Yeah, that's been brought up. But at first, even before they started building those issues. Well, you come to them every day, yeah.
But also on, Oregon and Chestnut, the residents are parking past the stop sign on that whole street. They got the whole, both sides. You can't even get through there.
Yeah, I see.
And all the way out to the street past, they parking past the stop sign. And I'm like, how is this happening?
that's why I said violators, when they start ticketing them and doing, there's gotta be some other.
They put that room so bad down, even if I but this guy bumping it up on Oregon night. But anyway, all right, so Mr. We need them people in there next month. Let's show us what they're doing. They building it. It is what it is. But when people are asking questions, I don't see us getting a resolution to some of their questions tonight. So it'd be nice if they came in and said, here's where we at, this is what we got, and then you can hit them in the head. But right now, we're just going around.
Yeah.
Saying stuff we made. Okay?
So
And, all right, with that said, I did find the motion.
You have my hands up.
Huh? I did not see it. I'm sorry. Thank you, David. Mrs. Fenn.
Leaving?
No, not yet. Go ahead.
This,
No, I wasn't leaving. I was gonna I found on my phone the motion for item 14 on the agenda that said, file number salary 243341, salary staff to report on the status of disability park improvements. Original motion initiated by Vera Maniscalco on August 17, 2023. And this meeting was, May the 9th, 2024. And it said, item 14, motion, Vera Maniscalco, that said agenda item be received and filed. Motion carried unanimously, pending being absent vote. Memorandum from Erica Moody, Sarah Brett, transmit a written report for said agenda item. Motion, Miranda Maniscalco, that said memorandum to be received and found. Motion carried unanimously. Can't say nothing about that, approve that. That's just a motion to receive and file the report. All the report had all these dollars in it. So where's the motion to approve the dollars? That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's what I'm reading. When I city council approves stuff, they say motion to approve Not just the report, but to approve the dollar amount. So that just said approve the receiving file. This means our report was written. Thank you for it. Let's move on. I'm sorry to get a nerve. Mr. You guys, you wanna,
I can.
go ahead. You know, that's what you hear when you wanna get directed.
Yes, so we have had communications with the maker of the motion. Councilman Vieira has said he would be willing to come and discuss, and provide, you know, the reason and rationale for the said motion related to.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to come or talk to us about since I'm interpreting his motion was just that they received and done something. They didn't say we approved the money. So that's what, ask him, does he wanna remake a motion to approve the money? That's what they need to do, because technically what I'm reading here doesn't say they approved the money, they just received and found a report. Well, trust me, I can read very well. I'm just saying, you can read it yourself, but when y'all said it, I was praying to sit, I said that don't substantiate what you were saying, that it was approved by the CRA board. That just said they received and found Ms. Moody's report, and I thank you for sending the report, because it had dollars, the backup is 396 and everybody else's. But that motion there on item 14, I'm missing the wrong item, which I am, doesn't say that they approved it. And that's the actual action minutes, right? All right, so if y'all could maybe next month clarify that where is the motion that approved the money? So if we don't need him to come in and tell us that he made a motion to receive and found something. We need to tell him to come in and explain that he did make a motion to approve the money, right?
If
That's what I
I'm,
read now.
if
So
I
y'all
may,
sit
I'm
this out.
sorry, may I share this? I was looking
Go ahead.
into my
Go ahead.
files.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you. I'm going. So this is the motion of the presentation. This is on, okay, number 3, staff
What date?
reports, February
What-
9, 2023.
Right,
And item 3 is a PowerPoint presentation that the former director of the Parks and Recreation presented to the CRA board to utilize CRA fundings. And then these are the motions.
to approve, okay, so they plan to approve recommendation on
I'm
implementation
trying to make it
plan for
bigger.
parks and funding. Okay, so that's where they approved the funding. And so in that presentation by Sharisha Hills, there's some dollar figures that we need to get those dollar figures. We need to back up.
Correct. Yeah, there's a whole presentation in there.
Yeah, I don't want the presentation. I want to see the numbers that they approved. Because what we were sent is not that. What we were sent was something in May of 2024.
No, the May report was an update on this
Right.
project itself. It wasn't
I
the
understand
original
that.
motion.
But I
Got
want
you.
to see, I want to see the dollar amounts going with that date and that motion that approved funding. That's what I want
Okay.
to see. I understand that, but you understand, that's what we should have got. And then we could have got this other one as a follow-up, but we should have got that to substantiate the fact that this money has been allocated.
My
And the
apologies. I
motion-
thought you guys had gotten copies of that, but I'll give you them for you.
No, we did, I read what we got, I didn't get that, so, all right, let's move on. All right, that brings us to what, Mrs. Thorne? We're still on the CRA staff report. Is that done? All right, I'm sorry, Mrs.
I'm not sure, this may be a Brenda question, or I'm not sure, but on item 16, the Main Street Ultimate Design Project, it says placeholder for implementation of recommendations. How can we move that from placeholder status to implementation? How do we move that?
I think this has to do with the creation of the neighborhood commercial district plan. To be honest, I don't have an answer for you right now of how do we move forward. I think at one point there was a meeting that you requested, CAC requested to have a consultant to come in and put all these reports together and make a recommendation for implementation of projects, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be our first step then. To procure that consultant.
Yes.
There's a community redevelopment plan. You have to update that.
But in terms of Main Street, we need to have a plan for the beautification and improvement of the Main Street corridor. Multiple elements, art, like parking is part, but
To take the studies, the alleyway studies, the parking studies, to take.
all these elements that would turn Main Street into a beautiful commercial
So,
corridor.
they got nothing to do with updating the community development plan, absolutely not. Okay?
Okay, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about,
I know what you're talking about, so I'm just,
in other words, I'm talking about that specific project. How can we start progress on that?
get an RFP to get a consultant is what I heard.
Well, Ms.
Correct.
Martinez,
Well,
yes,
According to this, we started this on 2019.
well, I know, that's true. But we had all these studies, we had the parking study, we had the students from South Florida. We had a lot of things going on. So now we're saying we're at the point with Mrs. Spence bringing up, how do we implement it? I believe Mrs. Martinez has said, we're gonna have to send an RFP out to get this consultant that we budgeted for.
Okay.
To come in and take all these things, the parking study, this thing, that thing, all that stuff we've been doing, they concentrate, including the commercial revitalization, that stuff that we already had when that corridor was named a commercial corridor that the city did some stuff on, right? Take all that, put it together, and come in here and give us some recommendations. I think that's what I just heard her say.
well, that's part of it, but the ultimate deliverable is going to be design concepts for all of these elements, not just.
Right, but we gotta first get.
Well, we need to
something
start,
out there.
we first have to
ahead.
start with putting all these reports together and then have the firm make a recommendation to then start the design portion of it.
So,
So do we need a motion to,
Another.
direct?
No, you guys I believe you made a motion in a previous meeting. Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I read it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking, this is a high priority project, I think, for everybody. And I'm.
They're all
thrilled
high
that we have
priorities. I'm
David coming. I know.
they're not all high priorities. Everything on this list is not a high priority. Get that in your head. If you wanna make such a high priority, the way you do that,
You know.
you need to make a motion. And that one doesn't have any priority.
He said we have to make a motion.
No,
Well,
I didn't
because
say that. Listen to what I said, and that's what I'm telling you, this is what I'm saying. This list does not have item 16 with any priority. So if you wanna make it a priority, Mrs. Benton, high, low, or no, now's the time to make a motion, say that you would make a motion to make it a high, medium, or low priority. Because it has not been designated by this group or anybody else.
This list doesn't put priority.
Yeah, it does, it's got a title called priority
Yes.
at the top. Fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the stats.
I told you I got a long life, but I don't have nothing to do with read stuff.
Okay, very good, my.
So do you want to make a priority on this one? That's good.
I would make a motion
Yeah.
to make item 16, the planning potential Main Street ultimate design project, to be designated as a high priority project.
And second, I second that. Whoa, okay, got 4, 5 seconds. Motion, thank you, David. David seconded the motion. All discussion. No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All in favor, no? Okay, motion passes. All right, next.
And then, in other words, now that it's a high priority, Ms. Martinez, do you need anything further from us to start this motion, to start the project going forward?
No, ma'am. I'm gonna go ahead and assign it to my urban planner to start looking for a consultant.
Beautiful.
Anything else, Mrs. Fenton?
No, I think that's probably.
Okay, anyone else on the list before we close the chapter and turn the page? All right, return the page. That brings us up to, where we are, Mrs. Laura, on staff reports. Right? Okay, that's a blue page. And questions on the grant page. It's so small, I can't even see it, but this is by design. I'm not worried about it, at least we know we got it. Okay, what about the housing team update? Ms. B Park?
Ms. B. Parks is out of town right now.
Okay.
But she will be coming back. And they're planning, I'm sorry. Now, it's somehow floated away. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
There you go.
So, in terms of the housing,
They've already been passing out applications. As you'll know, they've had several of those, open houses, if you want to call them that. They're planning one for West Tampa within the next 2 weeks. I just don't know the exact date. They'll probably do it out of this building, their plan. So I'll let everybody know so you can get out to your community. And then details will be coming, I think after October, is that correct? We'll be giving an update of what's happening with the housing programs.
if I may say, I've just happened to be here in the conference with B, and we did discuss about the housing reporting. She has until October 1st. That was the deadline that was given to her internally by staff, by our supervisors, to start doing the reporting on the projects. Right now, she's just concentrating on processing applications, getting applications, getting the word out, and start processing applications. So then to be able to create the report.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. That was good.
Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
No,
Sorry.
So my question is, and maybe this is a B question for later, but how many applications have been submitted for residential? I mean, and let me put it this way. I would like to make a motion that we receive a report similar to this that shows at least the number of the applications that are received.
For the West Tampa CRA?
For the West Tampa CRA, for the housing.
I actually have an update. 15 have been distributed and 5 are in process as of today.
But how many applications have been submitted? Do we know that?
15 applications have been, listen to what I said, 15 were distributed. So people came in and got them for West Tampa. 5 are in process right now. That's as of today. But I'll mention that you want more of a written.
And this is why I was saying that with code enforcement, see, I'm an expert in this, okay, I know how to game play. See, the code enforcement go out there and tell people, hey, you know what, we got a program. Because it's people right now, including myself, don't even know what the housing program is. I'm finna go through it for y'all. I've been authorized to go through and test the system out. But I've been waiting for them to get it in writing and formatted and for them to get their hands around it. And so I'm just waiting probably November, I start launching this effort. But go ahead, Mr. Setback. And then Mr. Receiver, if that's okay.
Yeah, so, I think the question you were asking, the totality, how many applications have been disseminated? As of last Thursday, when we were at CRA board, it was 201 applications.
That's CRA-wide.
CRA-wide. I've had some conversations at the event this morning. We will do a better job of advertising and making sure, I want to thank Mr. Robinson, for doing some press, on very short order. I believe that was right a few days before.
So the
first interview that took place was, and that interview was done within the West Tampa CRA with the recipient that received a facade grant for his home.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to thank Mr. Robinson for that, and also that I saw an interview on last Friday. So last Thursday, yes. So West Tampa definitely gets some attention, and he's making sure that he's keeping it on the forefront, especially with what's being done by the Community Redevelopment Agency. So 201 applications as of last Thursday. There may be more now. We have them numbered, and Ms. Parks, to Ms. Thor's point, is monitoring, because if they're signing for the applications, we're writing down what their address is and what CRA they're in, so we can provide that information back to you all. So that will be forthcoming. And Ms. Martinez did articulate the deadline internally and related to October 1st for Ms. Parks.
Mr. President, and Mr.
Just as a follow-up to that, and a tough question that you're probably, do you feel with 200 applications that you have adequate staff to process these in a timely manner?
So to answer your question, we had one individual who just started yesterday on Ms. Parks' team, and another individual, a young lady that is working with Ms. Parks. I believe this is her second week. So we've heard the concerns, and I know West Tampa has expressed.
I was waiting to bring it up later on.
So we are, and at the CRA board this past Thursday, there was some other conversations related to
implementation.
Yes, and positions that are vacant and that we're looking to fill. And we've also advertised EDS position 2 positions on the grant side. So yes, we're trying to staff up our team to keep moving forward, because we're receiving all these applications now, we have to have folks in place to process. So
And let me say, as a follow-up, because I've been thanking overworked people and not chastising them. So, I just wanted to make sure, because we anticipate a flood more coming.
Yes.
Because I'm coming in November.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Bobby Wilson, hold up, Mr. Senator.
You know, this is like maybe a follow-up would be, I know we have raised, probably early in the year around, the homestead exemption seminars we've done in the past with the county appraiser. I think she was gonna reach out. I don't know where we are with that. It was been well received within the community. It's been a couple of years since we've done one. So I think it's time that we.
Bob Enriquez.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be, like, yeah.
I will have a conversation with Ms. Parks when she returns, and, we can look to do it. Was there a specific time? I'm the year that you all were doing it?
Like, we usually did it, like,
When it
Like-
was 100 degrees out.
I wasn't 100 degrees, like, probably like, I think we did it probably in the beginning of the year, so
It's always been not in place in that
And
long.
you have like up until sometime before March, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say, if you remember, I did offer, as I have a close contact within the property appraiser's office that offered to hold a workshop. And this is going back months and months and months ago. I spoke with B about it. I was supposed to hear back on what they're gonna do schedule. We've never gotten there. And here we are, trim notices are out, property taxes coming in November. We've got people that don't even know how to navigate that. So, how much time we have before this tax year comes, but we have the next meeting essentially, so.
And then also piggyback on that, we were like in Gainesville, I noticed that they did like, seminars around the statement that was done, by their, appraiser in that county as well. So we raised that as well, like, basically like, hey, if your home, if they.
So it needs to be, so basically it needs to be done prior to the homestead exemption period.
Yeah.
Deadline.
Yeah, I
So
think
whenever,
that's explained more.
what is that?
January is what it's probably.
So anyway, if we can get moving on that, that would help a lot of the old timers to stay in their homes and then also start thinking about like, maybe
You got a widow exemption, you got military, you got
all the things about, estate planning and all that stuff. So we don't do it, but again, all that.
With the property appraisers, glad to look into it. We can try to raise that, the estate.
Yeah, I know it's a little tricky.
Yeah, that because of, how we're governed.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it in
We have to,
Gainesville.
I have to consult with our CRA
Yeah.
attorney, but.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mrs. Jones.
thank you.
Ms. Jones, you recognize.
What did they say about Mark? She's gonna be coming to explain some of the,
I think next, Ms. Brenda Lee, she's coming next week, next month. The house, I don't know when, but,
One, so yeah, but I don't know if it'll be next month.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
to explain the application process?
go ahead, Ms.
Well, she was gonna come just to give you an update on what's happening with the county. So yeah, she can explain that. She's already explained it once, but she can explain certain questions.
The residential.
But before then, there's been some questions or interest in having another one of those, what are we calling those? Application handouts to the community. She's gonna post another one, and the next one's gonna be in West Tampa. So
Good.
it'll be within the next 2 weeks. So as soon as I know, as soon as she gets back from her conference, he'll solidify that, and I'll get it out to you
One of the
guys.
things I find, I've done this for 40, 50 years, is when you're dealing with slum and blighted areas, low-income people, transportation is a big deterrent to participation. That's why, going out to Hannah for that thing last night, for the land use, man, I'm not people have, but it's a deterrent, It just, so if we can have more like, that's why we always say, have one in West Ham, have one in East Ham, have one in different CRAs, and that way you get more participation of the people that really can benefit from a program for their area. Because to have it somewhere that's not close, it makes a big problem for transport, especially for older people, that's probably the ones we got. Yes, Ms. Maloney, and we're gonna move on.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to, please, encourage you all to give us more notice. Because weeks is not enough notice. We need to be able to tell people and then tell them again and then tell them again in order for them to show up, to get them to come. So,
I wasn't finished, but
Okay,
I
I'm
think,
sorry.
that was one of the things, Cedric and I talked about it today. But, I'm just gonna put it on record because people keep telling me this is too invasive. And that's why they kind of stay away from it.
Do what?
Invasive.
What that mean?
Low invasive. invasive, I mean, like, your bank account, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
It's not,
Well, the only reason is because they have to be, it's based on your economic status.
I'm just
The
telling
commercial
you.
grant, yes.
And I told them I would.
It is personal information.
And so that is what I'm doing.
I got you.
They come to me and ask me these questions, and I say, okay, I'll make sure I relate it.
That's why I'm-
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, all right. Is that it, Ms. Jones? Not even John, that's a fact. Anything else, Ms. Jones? If not, we're gonna move to unfinished business. CAC policy no return, bring it forward. Showtime.
Hello again.
Huh?
Y'all saw this last month, and I brought it to you again.
Correct me, copy.
This is, it's kind of separate from your packet. I just kind of copied it back up again. For you, you have, list of CAC members and terms, the best I know. We also have the CAC policy, and we have an application. So I'm gonna leave it with y'all to, if you are up for renewal, past renewal, please fill out the application and get it to me. Be what is, there are a few of you, and it's probably my fault, that, I just, we're trying to catch up on who's up and who's not. But if you, I need to have your application, and if you're about to renew or up on your term, I need your application at least 30 days, 45 days in advance, because we have to process it and get it through to the CRA board. Now, if you're in ex officio seats, obviously, you've been serving a while, and that's fine. Technically, like what Mr. Robinson said, we have an opinion that you board action is what changes your status. So basically, that if you're in an ex officio seat, there's someone else in your organization that's ready to serve, that's fine, bring it forward. If you are the only person in that organization, you can still resubmit, okay? That's where it is right now. Ideally, for any board, we want to show, that we're also having some turnover, there's some new people coming in and so forth. It's healthy for all boards. But at the same time, I understand, we still have to, we want those seats filled. So let me see if, Director, McCray wants to add to this.
Yeah, and let me say this, go ahead, Mr. Seven, you can answer.
No.
Now, what I'm gonna say is this, okay, we're not, let me just give you an example, okay, because they wanna get me out of here, but now they want me back, okay? I told them, get out of this, no, wait a minute now, we gotta keep you around here for a few more weeks, but that was gonna be cool, I'm starting to get deficit and all that. But the thing is that, if you look at the application, okay, all those veterans, all those, I went back and dug up. Okay, 'cause I put nothing away, faith don't throw nothing away to authorize. I found the original roster from 2014 to that when you was the manager. Okay? And I looked down it, and originally, I was on it, just for some highlights. Jones, you was there. I was on it. Carlos, you was on it. Walt Smith was on it. And Tina Young, you was on it. Bobby Wilson, you was on it. We always been around here, we veterans on him. And then what happened was, in 2016, Jeanette, by motion, scheduled a meeting, right there, guys, in the email you sent out to me. Scheduled a meeting, and we were gonna pull straws out of hat. And we determined that we need to stagger. So then in 2016, it moved that, we went to 2-year and 3-year term. And the people, let me see, none of us that are here now, Tina Young was the only one that got a rabbit out the hat. And Bobby got a rabbit out the hat and had 3-year terms. So there's been some people had 3 over the years, everybody's had a 2-year term. Okay, so, and I got it right here if you want to see it, I didn't throw this away yet, I keep stuff like this, right? And I just got one here from 2019 that when we started talking about this, about 2-year terms, this like, here's what my thing is on this, last legal opinion about it. First of all, if you notice, look at your policy, look at the bottom page. It says approved by Sarah Bush on November 9th, 2023. I asked, was this retroactive? The answer was no, by the city attorney, more expensive. By the way, we're getting a new city attorney for the CRA. That's coming up. So hopefully they'll come in before I disappear. This new attorney, that's going to be the expert. He got more experience than Morris got. Matter of fact, if you was in Daytona, when they had the pump, so he may be here next month for the FRA. If he is, y'all can go get a card and meet the man and greet him, because he's supposed to be coming in here. He know more than Massey knows. He dealt with a lot of CRA, so he gets to see it statewide, what's going on, you know. But anyway, so I asked him, is it retroactive? No, it isn't. What that would mean, if it's retroactive, it means it takes before, they said take effect before November 9th, 2023. So if it ain't retroactive, for example, I use myself as an example, I was approved on January 25th, 2023. And what happened here, since they didn't do these things regular, for example, you can see that, I'm not picking on nobody now. Okay, picking on nobody now, but Mrs. I ain't picking on nobody now, but there's a couple of people that expired in 2024. It's 2024 in February, but they ain't done nothing about it. They haven't asked to reapply. So this is biggest lag. And here's the deal. You are on this here, okay? You are on this here committee until you are replaced by someone that the CRA board appoints to it, and you take the oath, okay? So you take oath, and there was a memo issued May 16, 2024. While I agree that incorporated ex officio entity should remain active with the state and designated, so this one I'm saying, your nonprofit expired, because some people had it. He says, office groups for each state established written CAC policy adopted by the state board. Therefore, that CAC policy would have to be amended by a board of state authority in order to remove both the entity and ex officio status and its representative as ex officio member citizen. Until that occurs, I believe that the representative can still participate and vote as a CAC member, but they don't adequately got your administrative dissolved corporation. As long as you sitting on here until somebody gets you off here, you could be here and vote. I don't know about Mr. Baker here, but he according to this, according to Massey, that's my interpretation. So that means that if this ain't retroactive, then I'm reading it this way. This came on November the 9th. I was appointed on January. So guess what that means? I look at this and says, okay, going forward, you know, I might say I'm not even in a half a term because I get 2 years per term, right? So, and I'm also chair of June, so that's a whole nother story. But the thing is that I'm saying, okay, starting on November the 19th, since I was in my term, I got 2 consecutive terms to do. I might finish in my first year of my first term because this ain't retroactive. This ain't retroactive. I don't serve 5 terms, 4 terms. This ain't retroactive. That's the interpretation that I'm giving. So therefore, I'm gonna be put in for it. And it says that I don't care what these terms say. If the CRA board say you in, you in. CRA board say you ain't in, you ain't in. And if she tells the truth from auditing and stuff I do out of lonely life, you'll find that some of our resolutions, like mine, doesn't even have an ending date on it. I know when I got on the sports authority, it got ending date. I know when I got on the Community Benefits Council, Advisory Council, they got an ending date. So some of us may or may not have an ending date when they did the resolution, which is a scrivener's error. Okay, and I'm being on tape now, it's all been recorded, but I'm gonna put in for, y'all want to run the time. So I told Mrs. Brenda when this came up, that I would say this tonight. If you turn in the application, and let's see what the powers will be down there want to do. Okay, turn in the application, because it's better to have an application in than not have one in, and I'm gonna say that. Okay. So is that all you have on that? But you done jumped up, Mr. Cedric, go ahead, give the mic.
So just one clarification. So you mentioned the ex officio seats and individuals either not attending the meetings or not responding once the positions have been advertised. Technically, based on the policy, it's supposed to go back to an at-large position.
Right, but here's the problem. The policies say that, but any policy must have a motion and by the city salary board to be effective. It just doesn't happen because the policy said there must be an enabling act. An enabling act is a motion that they are now removed and they are now on 1 year. Okay, you don't have any policy, but it has to be an enabling act. Got it? And there's no enabling act. And that's why Massey said, until the board makes a decision by somebody, They come in and keep come voting and all that, even though they're corporations, administrators are, which they're represented by the state of Florida, say you no longer exist. It happened with one of our members. The administration was dissolved and the amount to restore it was so great that they had to let that nonprofit go away and start a brand new nonprofit. And that new nonprofit then had to be approved by the CRA board to be on this list. And that was the one that Mr. Smith had. So that's what I mean by having to have an enabling act. That just because the one administrator dissolved, it ain't on this list, and you ain't on this list, then you get an enabling act by the CRA board to do so. That's just my interpretation, and hell, I might have to litigate it one time. But I don't hope it's gonna be so old now. But my thing is this, when I leave here and I say I'm done, I wanna make sure that whoever coming behind, don't come in here and just get radical and just destroy 30, 40, 50 years of us concentrating what we want. And just leave a legacy, as they say, that this is what we like to see. Because if not, new people come in and there ain't gonna be no regulation. That's why I sort of agree with what the city's done to get these standardized. Every CRA go by the same grant application, the same this and that. But that's all I got to say about it. So anything else on that, Mr. President?
No.
Mr. Stephanie? All right, but you understand where I'm coming from with this statement stuff. All right, move right, because I'm a stickler for the law. Yes, sir, Mr. Brazil.
Unfinished business.
Yes.
Would like to check back on a motion that I made last month.
Oh, good, okay.
Just curious if we have any answer as to what happens in the event, I believe the motion was for the city to explain to us what happens in the event that property is purchased with CRA funds and then is sold to a developer, what happens to that money when it comes back into the state?
Sure, was that in the notes to me?
That was a motion that I made, pretty clear about it, so.
Remember you making it.
I remember making, but I don't remember seeing them notes to me, Mr. President.
It wasn't last month, was it month before?
It was last month.
That's
I
why.
remember the motion.
That's why,
We still want to know.
I would like to make
well, let's just do this.
another motion.
Let's just
Check the recording.
We got the
Okay,
fuzzy
all right.
minutes. We're near 9 o'clock.
I'm gonna stick with the motion. Go ahead, so we can, and everybody include the director, so make the motion. Let's get it over.
I would like to make a motion for the city to give us an explanation of what happens in the event that property is purchased with CRA funds, West Tampa CRA funds, and then is delivered via RFP or some other form for a developer to develop affordable housing and is sold to a developer. What happens to the funds from that transaction? Where do they go? Do they stay within the CRA? A detailed explanation of what happens to the funds.
Is that a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Sanchez. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is that it, Mr. Brazil?
Yes, sir.
All right, is it in that, you got that notion? I guess that come on my eye, Mr. Okay, Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you. I just, before we move on to new business, this is unfinished business and it's the hours late, so I'm just gonna make this very brief. But Director McCray is here, so I know you've been brief, but I'm gonna say it again. We do not have enough staffing. We love our staff. We love all of them. They're wonderful, but there's not enough of them. So I'm telling you personally that I would hope that you can look at the staffing levels and increase them, at least as it pertains in West Tampa, and particularly under project management. I think that's where we're really lacking.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. We was at the sidebar.
Chair,
Yes, Mrs. Tina.
I don't know if this is unfinished business or not, but, for the FRA, the conference, what was the end result? Are we paying for ourselves or was that?
Giving up the news, well, she put it in, it was in the notes.
Right, according to the company, the CAC chair, okay, which is Mr. Robinson, is paid for to go to the conference as the representative for the CAC. Anyone else that wants to go, they can pay their own way. Registration's still open. think it's about 395, but it's less than I thought. Because it is local, it is here at the Tampa Marriott Waterside Association. And, so if you're interested, that's the policy.
$300 for
That's ridiculous.
Right, that's great, 395, I believe.
We volunteer to do what we do,
Right.
but we can't have the opportunity to go right first.
It is the CAC policy that was approved by Sierra Board.
Well,
That's
we already what got it back. But that's on record. I'm feeling some kind of way.
And they did that previously too. However, I'll say this for the record. It was amazing how many people from East Tampa and Daytona Beach. And I don't know how they got people there at the conference. It's almost like they say, we ain't working our bridge, we just gonna walk in on the event. Now, I mean, you can always grandson to see what they say. I don't think they got the police out there. They're forced to walk in the room. But anyway, it's all natural, but I'm crazy. Go ahead, Ms. Jones, I'm sorry.
October 20, well, the conference is October 23rd through the 25th.
And there will be tours.
Yes, there's a tour.
West Tampa.
Well,
East
yeah, but it's
Tampa.
already sold out. Believe it or not.
It's sold out.
It's been sold out.
Tell them what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They can find their own tour guide.
But you guys already know West Tampa.
We're not
All
saying no.
All right. Anything else, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Tina, and Mrs. Maloney, and then Mr. Wilson? Are you done with Mr. Maloney, then Mr. Wilson?
Okay. I wanted to, under new business.
We're at new business.
Are we doing new business?
Yes.
I just wanted a little story. Melody Mendoza Oslander is the principal at Dunbar Elementary. She's been there since July. She's friends with a neighbor of mine who happened to know that I have an interest in gardening. I'm a master gardener with Hillsborough County Volunteers. She contacted me.